We're live. You have what?
My parents got me a case for my birthday.
Oh, nice. When was your birthday?
Yeah, it's in August.
Nice. Sweet, dude. The case of element. Let's go.
The sparkling.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, which oh yeah, they do the assortment pack, right? Like they don't have like what's it called?
You you can pick whatever you want.
You can?
Yeah, it's just like the little boxes now. You can pick whatever sparkling water you want. So I got two black cherries and two citrus.
Oh, that's right. They make you buy like a few boxes, don't they? In like a pack?
Yeah, it's like $72 for like
Yeah.
what was it 2, 4, 8, 4, 8 cases?
Mm.
So 32.
Dope. That's really good. That's sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see how today goes, dude. I have this feeling that a majority of the people on YouTube are female. I just have this interesting feeling about that. So I wonder how it's gonna go. Um, Give me 1 second. I have to send Dr. Tyler Pansner something. All right. Well, that's gonna take 7 years to do anyway. So
I think it'll go well. It'll be different because it's not concentrated on everybody, so to speak, but there's a lot of stuff in it that can be common, or maybe it'd be like a good understanding to see it from that side.
we just complete. We
Oh,
just
dang,
lag.
we got video issues.
Dang it, dude. Are you in? Are you watching the live or no? Like, are you watching it?
You sound like a robot.
I do. How are we doing now? Can you hear me?
And now I'm by myself.
Can you hear me? Uh-oh. What's happening?
I wish we had one of those technical difficulty things that could fly across the screen.
Yeah, oh, frick. Can you hear me now or no? Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulty. Have no idea what's happening right now. I can hear Mick when I like go to the live and I listen in on the live. Video is in and out. How about anybody watching the live? Can you confirm or not that the live is okay on my end? Chatters, help us out here. Viewers, help us out here, please.
Video looks good.
You still can't hear my audio though?
No, you're good now. You're good
Oh, good
through
now.
our screen and the live. Everything looks good.
Okay, cool. But you can hear?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Okay, today, welcome to Alive. What a waste of 3 minutes, huh? Just kidding. Welcome back to the live, guys. We are going to today focus on men and the struggles of POTS syndrome with men specifically, because we realize this is a woman-dominated, I was going to say mental illness. This is a woman-dominated chronic illness, and there's not a lot of talk on men and how to like what struggles men can go through with this. And it's not that we don't think that equally everybody goes through the same amount of struggle, but we think that there's a little bit different of a struggle that men face when it comes to this. So if you are a woman watching this, it would be great if you gave some, I don't know, some insight, or maybe had some questions, or maybe you're a woman whose husband or boyfriend is going through POTS syndrome too, and you have questions on like how you can help them or be empathetic towards them, things of that nature. This is definitely the place to do it. So we want to talk about men's issues with POTS syndrome, and go from there. So I think that this will be
And it
really,
would be, yeah, it's going to be a really good place to see, like, from a man's perspective, what it's like. Just like as men, we can't fully understand from a woman perspective what they go through exactly. Even if you both have POTS, there's still different things you're going to go through. So hopefully that'll help with that stuff. And then also hopefully it helps other men kind of relate, like, hey, maybe this guy has this issue too. I'm not alone. He's been through that. You know, they've walked that path that I'm going through now. So, and hopefully it gives a little hope and stuff, a little more hope in there as far as recovery.
For sure, 100%. So I'm going to give a little experience of mine quick. We talked about this on the other live a couple days ago or whatever. But my biggest issue, I felt like, as a man with POTS syndrome, was the fact that I felt like everything was being stripped away from me. So one of the most important things to me is fitness in my life and being able to do activity, because I'm the type of person, I grew up with like a lot of aggression and stuff. And so fitness was really important for me to be able to express the aggression in a positive way. So that was one thing that I felt was just being taken away from me. And then the second portion of it was, I had 2 businesses at the time. I think 2, maybe 1. I think it was 1 business actually. I had 1 business, but I was also doing a sales job for sure at a gym while I was building my business. And so I remember like clear as day that my son was born or he was on his way. So maybe I don't remember clear as day, but I remember having the thought of I need to provide and protect for my family, right? So the son that was either on the way or if he was born. And during my business was an athletic training business. And so like I would literally, when this started happening, I would have these symptoms and they would come on like crazy. They'd send me into a panic and I'd be with a client and I'd have to be like, hey, I have a family emergency. I have to go right now. You know, and I would literally leave mid-session from working with a client and I would go. And then all I remember, like what I remember is that all I could think about was I'm going to lose my livelihood. I'm going to lose my ability to provide for my family. And at this point, this is before COVID. This is before people were working remotely from home and stuff like that. So that wasn't even an option for me. Any jobs that you wanted to have mostly were from the actual office or from the business. Because if you guys don't remember, the working from home thing didn't really start until COVID. Almost nobody did that. There was like some salespeople that had the opportunity to like go on sales calls, but they'd be in their car and then they'd be meeting up with clients in order to do a sales call or whatever. And so that was my biggest struggle as a man, was thinking about how am I going to be able to provide for my family with this health issue?
Yeah, that was, I think as a man, that's everybody's first concern is like, what the fuck am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doing is just like shit. Like how do you even, like that? My first thoughts was I'm going to lose everything I got.
Yep.
I'm going to go farther down than I currently already am, like, because I had spent 3 years not being able to get to work consistently and missing days, and it starts to put you behind and you just get wrecked from it. And then that's part of your hope too. That's part of your drive. That's like, this is it. This is my life,
Yep. Yeah. So I think that, if you're somebody who's struggling with POTS and you're a dude, there's a couple things, right? If one of your main concerns is like not being able to provide for your family, which again, it was for me, I'm sure it is going to be for a lot of other guys. It's so integral that you develop the habits and skills to be able to get better from this thing with POTS. So that means like making sure that you're on your exercise grind, making sure that you're on your diet, consulting with the right people that have experience, or people like, that aren't just in the what's it called, the traditional medicine realm either. Like trying to find alternative ways of getting better than just like your traditional medicine, because Western medicine and the people within this scope, they do well with like, giving out the right medications and whatever for the most part. But I think that a lot of people would have a lot more success getting better with POTS if you actually learned how to get better with POTS via diet and exercise and vitamin therapies, stuff like that.
And it's changing every way that you've coped with work stress, life stress. It's changing what you're eating from coping. It's changing everything that's going on currently. And a lot of that stuff's hard for us guys because a lot of the ways we deal with stress are physical acts. you
Oh
know?
yeah, for sure. I mean, that was like one of my main concerns was like, I'm losing this. I'm losing my ability to work out. I can't let my aggression out. I can't let my anger out. I can't let my sadness out or whatever. Because
Yep.
again, too, like, I think that there's something to be said about this too, right? Like when you're dating somebody or if you're married or whatever, right? Like you don't want to come home with a bag of shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
like when you're a dude, like you want to come home and you want to have a way to decompress so that you don't have to put like what I always say is like they say like happy wife, happy life, right? And I don't buy that shit at all. I don't buy it. I don't buy it whatsoever. What I
Yeah.
more so fall into the category of is like happy king, happy family. You know, because the stress that a man goes under when you're not able to decompress or whatever, like when you're a man and you're angry, you're upset or whatever, the entire family is going to feel it. The entire family is going to feel it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Because your energy is just so big in the room. Everyone's going to feel what you're going through. But when you're able to cope with stress, when you have those outlets or whatever, when you're good, everyone's good because you're going to be the dude that like wants to play with your kids. You're going to be the dude that wants to go out and have a good time, like go get a dinner as a family or whatever. You're going to be wanting to do so many things because you've been able to decompress and deal with your stress. But this POTS thing can really freaking take a toll, dude. Like,
Well,
I
I
don't,
mean,
go ahead.
I think it goes into how we're designed.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, men and women think differently. We use our brains differently. We approach problems and situations differently.
Yeah.
And generally, okay, just to not trigger anybody, a man's role in a relationship is to deal with all of a lot of the bullshit. Not to say that women don't put their part into, because just what makes a strong man is a strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a good woman will help that man develop who he is. And a lot of good men will take on women who are not perfect because we see what that value is that's there, and then we hold them accountable. So when you approach a man with a problem, they give you a solution. When I approach a woman with a problem, they're better listeners. They're better at just, you know, sitting there and then kind of giving their opinion and listening. But men get aggravated when there's not a fix. So when
Yeah.
you've got a problem that's consistently happening that is affecting the man's life, then it affects all aspects of it. And if there's no outlet to help any kind of recovery with that, then that man is just generally unhappy. And it's hard to be that part of yourself, because those are the times when you're going to throw in more bad coping behaviors. You're going to drink more beer, or you're going to smoke more weed, or you're going to do more unhealthy acts that may seem healthy at the time, but generally it's not in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, for sure that. I mean, dude, I've talked to so many dudes that go through these issues and I feel like there's not enough like support. There's not enough people out there kind of talking about it too, because like also like truly when you have POTS and you're a guy, like you feel like a pussy. You know, like you feel like, why
Yeah.
can't I deal with this? Why can't I handle this? Why can't I pick up this
Yeah.
thing that, you know, that I need to move in the house and I have to ask for help, or I have to ask my girlfriend or wife to like help support me through this? Like, why can't I do these things? You start to feel like really emasculated and as if
Dude,
you're
I had
not.
to move a mattress one time and got my ass laid out from it.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm like, and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super hard. It's really hard. And so, you know, part of this though, and this is just me being like a big brother, right, to guys, is like you if you are a dude going through this and you feel emasculated and you feel like you're struggling really hard with this, like part of me wants to say to you, like, you got to let your nuts hang a little bit. You got to grab them and you got to just like do what it takes to get better, right? Like if you're a dude and you're making up all these excuses why you can't do certain things to get better from POTS, then you don't really even deserve to get better from POTS, or you don't really want it in the first place, right? Like you can't, like as a man, you shouldn't be sitting there complaining and complaining without having any thought of solution, you know, coming up with solution. And so,
Right.
so you know, as a dude, I can empathize with a lot of these issues, but at the same time, because I've gone through the issues and I've gotten better from the issues, I'm also on the side of like, handle your business, you know?
That's what it comes down to. Like, and I think I think each person's different. I think you have to decide when you've suffered enough, you know. Like as a man, and you other guys will relate to this shit. When I would enter into a relationship, I did not pick the healthiest people.
Mm.
I picked people that needed help,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people that needed me there. And as you go through life, you start to figure out as a man, like what type of man you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the bad part, God, I hate this phrase. I hate this phrase. But the Captain Save-A-Ho,
Yeah.
that guy,
That's you?
you know, it's an underrated thing because as a man, I think we can see the value in things that have the potential. And other people do this too. And there's plenty of women out there who do the same thing. But we see the potential, but we don't get the results from the potential. We just keep hoping for the potential, and then you try and help the potential. You're trying to change something that isn't that.
Yeah.
So when you have pots, you're not at your top. You're if you're anything like me, you just hit rock bottom and lost every part of your manhood that you had left. And then you work from there. That's what got me better. That's what it took for me to quit smoking weed or for me to do the things in life I needed to do to get better. It took me hitting rock bottom, having horrible symptoms and issues that scared the shit out of me before any of that ever changed.
Yeah.
Because I was more happy to suffer than I was to change it. But it takes that line. You have to get to that yourself. However, some people are more hard-headed. I'm stubborn as fuck.
Oh, I am too, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very stubborn. I want to touch on that, what you kind of just said there too, about the Captain like Save-A-Ho thing. So we can take that in a bunch of different ways, right? Like we could start talking about dating and pots or whatever, and I think that that's like kind of a hard issue to talk about. But mostly what I want to say is, you guys, if you like being a dude, if you are in a relationship or like you have people around you or, you know, even a work environment that's like too stressful or not adding value to your life while you're trying to get better from pots, it is so integral that you separate yourself from those points of your life. So like, I know it's hard. It's like, it's hard to say this, but Mick, you could probably even talk to this, right? So look, if you have pots and you're in a really toxic relationship or there's like something not going well in the relationship, you need to separate yourself from that relationship. That's like normal life advice that people would give about any other topic, but especially with pots, right? Let's just talk about that specifically for a second. It's that this is a central nervous system thing. It's your autonomic nervous system. So if you're constantly on edge because you're living with somebody or you have to see somebody frequently or whatever, they're just adding so much stress to your life. That's only going to make the freaking situation worse. That's literally only going to make the situation worse because you're always going to be on edge. Your heart is always going to be beating fast. You're going to feel like you're walking on eggshells. Like if you don't have the ability to separate and breathe and be able to take a moment to yourself because this person's not leaving you alone or they're like too needy or whatever it is, dude, you need to take a breath, right? I have this like this newer buddy who is going through divorce and stuff, and he like won't stop being the Captain Save-A-Ho guy, right? Like with his ex-wife now, she's still like laying out all of her problems on him and he's communicating with her and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you need to separate yourself from this person because they're just tossing their baggage on you. And that's going to make it worse for you in the long run. So if you have pots and you have a bunch of toxic people around, it doesn't need to be a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, right? It can be whoever. If there's toxicity, if there's a lot of added stress, if people aren't adding value to your life, if they're not on the journey with you, you need to get rid of that. Completely need to get rid of that.
It's funny you mentioned that because pots actually forced that into my life. Like I have a cousin who's going through a rough relationship because nothing's perfect like it is. But then having that stuff come in and affect my life is I realized I can't have that. So I've got to keep that away. You know, I can't explain to everybody what to do to help things in your life, you know, just as much as anybody can only explain so much to me of what to do to help things in my life. We all kind of got to go through this at our own pace and at our own process. So, but pots gave me symptoms from that type of stress. So any of that stress in my life, I started exiting from quickly because my body couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. I got these horrible symptoms. And in the end, you don't have a lot of support with it because you don't have anybody around that really understands it unless they have it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be alone in part of this, and you're gonna go through a bunch of crap in this, but you got to get to that point for yourself to decide, like, do I want these symptoms in this life, or do I need to do the things I need to do so that they're not as bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the support thing is super important too, right? Because I think the difference between men and women is this, like one big difference, and this is something that guys with POTS for sure are struggling with, is that they don't really want to talk about their issues. And if they do, it's like they're doing it under an alias or whatever, right? And so
Yeah.
it is important to have a support system. And a lot of times too, like if you can, if you do have a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, you don't really want to be like sharing every single issue with them because you don't want to feel like you are, how do you say it? What's the word? You don't want to feel like you're just like dumping stuff and like and being an issue or being a complainer or whatever, because that might affect the dynamic of your relationship too. So it's really important to get around people that can offer you support and can empathize with you rather than sympathize, right? And the thing is though, that you guys also cannot expect people to give you empathy or sympathy that have never gone through what you're going through. That's a really important part too. You need to find other people that are like-minded around you to be able to give you that kind of support. Should we read the chat real quick?
Yeah, I was reading it when we were talking here.
Mosin Sheik, I am dizzy all day and have shortness of breath. Bro, did you ever have it? Yep, that's a really common effect of POTS. Oh, you answered. Okay. And then
Yeah.
Mick, do you have POTS too? Yes, he does. And then his last one is, but my doctor is not diagnosing me with it, washing me off and saying it's anxiety.
It depends. I gotta jump in here real quick.
Yeah, no, go.
It depends. Like, it's tough, man. It's tough. But as of right now, hearing just because we just met, you're dizzy all day long and have shortness of breath. There's a multitude of things in the medical industry that can cause these symptoms. Okay, so when you approach any doctor, anybody you run into, their first act is a list of things that could be, depending on general population who has it, common things that come through with your area. Maybe your area works in a mine and another area, lives in the mountains. So it depends, but you have to have enough correlations to come in with it. There's the NASA standing NASA test that can be done by your doctor, and they can do that to check your blood pressure to see if your blood pressure rolls off. So there's certain things to do before you get diagnosed. But at the end of the day, if you're running into a doctor that is not meeting the requirements that you need to figure this out, then move to a different doctor. You can have two doctors at once. You can get a second opinion, third opinion. You treat doctors and therapists and specialists like you would treat going to buy anything. Figure out what your price point is, figure out what kind of quality you want, and then keep moving around. But that's the hard part in this. Just keep moving around, keep talking to doctors, keep advocating for yourself, because you're in uncharted territory. 10, 15, 20 years ago, nobody touched testosterone. At 27 years old, I was 98 nanograms, which is plummeted. Okay, I had all kinds of symptoms. My doctor didn't even know about it. She diagnosed me as high testosterone first, and then it was low, but nobody knew about it. And there was all these different ways to treat it. Now, doctors know about it more commonly. It's easier to treat. But back then, you couldn't touch it. You couldn't get help with it. I had to go figure it all out on my own. So keep that in mind when you run into this stuff.
Yeah. The point that you said there that is like most important to me, or most like, relatable to me, is being your own health advocate. Like, you're saying that your doctor is not diagnosing you with it and they're washing you off saying it's anxiety. I don't know where you're from, dude. I'm going to assume that you're not in the States, but I don't know what your healthcare system is like. But dude, yeah, if your doctor's not doing the job that you want him to do, then move on. Go find somebody else, go somewhere else. However, there's something to be said too. And I'm going to look, I feel like this is focused on men, right? So like this live is focused on men. So I'm going to treat you like a man. Okay. Part of you has to kind of come to terms with, is it partially anxiety? Is it or not? Because if you're just telling him you're dizzy and you're short of breath, if that's the only symptoms that you're telling him about, it could very well just be anxiety. It could very well be that. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have POTS or that you shouldn't act as though you don't have POTS or whatever like that. But I'm saying if you want to get the diagnosis, then you need to give him all your symptoms. You need to be very clear about what exactly is going on with you. Because if you're just telling him that stuff, the doctor might just come and deduce and be like, yeah, you just have anxiety. This is normal anxiety behaviors. He said, always short of breath, but pulse ox showing 96% O2.
Yeah.
That 96%, by the way, is very good.
Yeah.
96% is very good. And if you're always short of breath, you're not really short of breath. What that means is like you're having air hunger or whatever. I think that's what the POTS community calls it, right? Like you're feeling like you're short of breath. And that to me, that to me does sound like anxiety, or an anxiety component of POTS, right? Because some people really do have the issue where they're actually short of breath and they have low oxygen levels with POTS. Like I'm talking like 90 or like 88. I've actually seen that. Some people do really have that issue. So
it's tough, man. It's tough. Let's see this copy. So this is the standing NASA test. So I posted a link in the chat. That's the standing NASA test. So that gives you an idea and a measurement of things. So the doctor, instead of just hearing a bunch of symptoms, they're going to look at that, whether they've seen it or not. They can do the standing NASA test. And then they have readings to go off of to say, hey, okay, something is off. 90% oxygen, I was at 97. So, and it's so conflicting when you present certain symptoms and then just say, well, it's POTS or it's anxiety, because everything's going to lead to anxiety. I spent decades being told it was anxiety. Go to the ER, it's a panic attack. Here's some clozapam.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to run into this stuff, but you got to track like what else is happening. If you're having shortness of breath and you're having anxiety and it's from POTS, you're going to have other symptoms that you just don't know about yet. So go look up and find your POTS symptoms, see if they relate, you know, check your heart rate whenever you get up and stuff, and see where you kind of fall into it. Because a lot of times if people are having minimal symptoms, there's usually a quick fix, pretty much, like what you can throw in there as far as maybe you're just short on sodium. Like sodium's a big effect of POTS. So it depends. And he's got a question for you.
Justin, how are you so upright and strong and doing gym with POTS? You never been dizzy. Hey, I'm gonna be honest about this guy that's commenting right now. And this isn't like this isn't you know, any shade or anything like that. So I hope that you don't take it this way, dude. But I've seen your comments before saying that I don't have POTS. It's impossible. You want to see me testing my O2, you know, live on camera, and you want to see my pulse out. You want to see my pulse and stuff like that. Let me tell you this. We just talked about this the other day. What I think a lot of you guys get twisted, especially dudes who see me working out and whatever, you guys don't realize that this channel has been live for 8 years. And I got diagnosed with POTS about 5 or 6 years ago. So how am I able to be so upright and being strong in the gym or whatever, being able to go to the gym? I have been dizzy. Dizziness was one of like my most frequent symptoms. And actually, depending on how the weather is, dizziness is one of the things that I deal with the most. Like if it's extremely cold outside, I deal with dizziness pretty bad. But I just know how to deal with it, right? So, but how am I able to do the things I'm able to do? Dude, I'm 5 years post-diagnosis. And I've built a system around my life instead of systems in my life, right? Or I've built a bunch of systems in my life, and I know what foods work for me. I've been able to build up my exercise tolerance. I build up my heat tolerance. I built up my cold tolerance. I make sure that I drink 3 of these a day, which is 120 or 130 some ounces of water. I have a minimum of 3,000 milligrams of supplemental sodium. On top of that, I salt all my food. I do all the right things. That's how. You know, I've been doing this for years, and I built a system that I'm able to help other people with. So I've been doing this for years, man. That's exactly why I can do what I'm doing now. And you can do it too. That's the other thing. You can do it.
Trick.
But most of you guys who are watching this are waiting to get better. You're not actively trying to get better. You're waiting for the doctor to give you the magic pill. You're waiting for the disease or for the chronic illness to go away by itself. And if you do try to work out or whatever, you don't know the system. You don't know how to do it yourself. It's like you're not building up your own tolerance the right way and stuff like that, right? Like you think that you have an understanding of exercise, and you might have an understanding of exercise for the regular person, right? For the regular person. But you need to learn how to exercise at your capacity, what you're capable of now, and then build up from there. Thanks for considering my comments. Much thanks. You're welcome.
That's basically what it is, man. And it's easy to look at Justin's channel and automatically be like, how the fuck is this guy doing this when I experience these symptoms? Mm-hmm. I'm 3 months in, and I can tell you just from 3 months in recovering, 3 months in, there's so many little things that are vital. Your sodium, your potassium, your water, your walking, are you moving blood around your body? Like, those things are so critical that if you're not on those things every day, you won't see the recovery. You've got to change stuff. You don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how bad your symptoms are, maybe you're somebody that doesn't mind being short of breath when you go up the stairs or do anything, or, maybe you're somebody that just doesn't care. My grandma smoked cigarettes, and she ate fried food, and she never changed anything, and she drank soda. She also was in a wheelchair a lot, rarely ever did anything. Day to day was anything from horrible migraines to other really bad symptoms. And then in the end of her lifespan was a kidney that was deficient on sodium and potassium, and then a kidney and a heart that failed.
Yeah.
Like, so you can do it however you want to do, but it's what to you is going to be worth it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. My POTS diagnosis is still pending. I don't know what's happening inside me. Can't stand while playing soccer. Sun is my enemy, and I'm always dizzy.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. Yeah. It's tough to go into POTS. It's brutal. Mm-hmm. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea how to fix it because it's not anything just normal that you would come across. It takes away from things that you used to do or be able to do or love, and then you start to beat the shit out of yourself for being weaker or lesser of a person or not enough of a man. Like, everybody else is telling you, just deal with it and move on. And that's what you try and do, but it don't work that way. So the one thing I can say is be patient with yourself. Give yourself a fucking break a little bit, but still keep pushing forward. Don't give up. You give up, that's when you might as well just lay down and die.
Yeah, that's when you lose, is when you give up.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff that you're going through, like we've both experienced. We've both been through in the past. And I think the important thing to note here, man, is that you're not dying. You're not going to die. It's scary. It's not a great experience to go through. We know that, and we're empathetic towards it. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And to be honest with you, though, if you're doing this on your own and you don't know how to build yourself up from it, like if you feel like you're a rat on a wheel just kind of spinning and spinning and spinning, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's useful or helpful to like get with somebody that actually knows. So if you have a doctor around you that has actually experienced POTS before or worked with people with POTS, it's probably like the best thing that you can do, right? Get with some sort of doctor that actually knows what they're doing. If not, Mick and I are actually creating a men's support group for POTS specifically, which I'm gonna link in the description by the end of this live. Let's see, what did he say?
From Pakistan. He's 24.
He's from Pakistan.
Is there any support groups out there like where you're at, or does anybody know about it or anything?
He's 24, lives in Pakistan. All right, well, while we're waiting for him to answer that or to ask more questions, Mick, do you have anything that you think that other guys that you've gone through that other guys might be able to relate to?
Dude, everything. Your
Yeah.
dick not working, your
Yeah.
lack of sex drive or will to live.
Yep.
Like, you know, the sheer panic and thought that you're not going to be able to do what you used to do.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I didn't have the dick not working part, to be honest. I didn't have
Oh,
that
dude, my blood volume was,
tanked. Yeah.
yeah,
What helped you with that specifically?
getting better. Increase in sodium, potassium, changing my diet, getting more hydration. I wasn't aware of how long I was dehydrated.
Hmm.
I had no idea that I was dehydrated as much as I was.
Okay.
I mean, and the other thing is like, okay, motion. I don't know how to say his name. So basically, if you're somewhere that doesn't have support groups like I was, or even Justin started before it was even a thing, before it even got popular and had YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like, so you've got to scour the internet and find your information. You've got to go out and find what are the common things I need. You got to try and figure out like what symptoms do you have? What do you think you might have? And then you got to put in supports for that. So like anywhere you can find information, that's where it's going to be.
Yep.
And in the group and stuff that Justin has, that's a lot of the stuff we'll do is we'll help each other end up figuring out like, what do you need? You know, what gets better, what helps it, and learning from each other and everywhere around is how you get through that. Because if you don't have somebody that knows about it, you're probably going to have to help your doctor figure out what it is. So you're going to be bringing in stuff to be like, hey, this is POTS. Can you do this test? And then he's going to be like, yeah, the blood pressure's off. You've got POTS. And then he's not going to know what to do from there either. You know,
Yeah.
so you're both probably going to learn kind of how it goes.
Yep.
And then back to what you were saying, we were talking about can I start to express my feelings on YouTube by making videos on dysautonomia and get connected? I don't know what symptomatic deers are. You can start a channel. I mean, if it helps you in your process, then by all means, like find your avenue through it, connect to your audience that you're around, and then move forward. But back to where you were saying with the blood volume, I think it was, Justin.
Yeah.
So I had I had my ankles and my legs swell up, but I didn't get that as much as I thought you would when it swelled up. And then when I stood up, basically I had issues, blood pumping everywhere. So and when we got together, I was working and I was walking 10 to 12,000 steps a day already.
Okay.
So all day I was walking around and moving, and then I noticed when I moved around, I was a little better than when I was just standing. When I stood there, my blood just dropped to the bottom of my body. So depending on the day, I would have a good day or bad day. But not having the water or the sodium and the correct hydration, like my element packets to hold on to the water, I pissed everything out. And anything I didn't piss out, it didn't go to any of my muscles or anything. So I shrank and I would get hurt. And I would just continually battle with that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's asked now twice what your blood pressure readings are, or what our blood pressure readings are. So this is how I'm gonna answer that question, Mosin. I don't tell anyone that stuff. I don't give anybody that information because blood pressure and heart rate stuff, like it's not worth knowing. So like you knowing my blood pressure or whatever, it doesn't do anything for you or your condition. Period. It will help you put you at ease maybe if you have something to relate to, but it's not going to do anything in terms of helping you get better. And to be honest with you, Austin Rowe just said blood pressure can vary by the minute, and that's 100% true. And blood pressure is the same thing as heart rate, dude. There's a million different variables that can either increase or decrease your blood pressure. So if you're underfed, your blood pressure is going to be lower. If you're overfed, your blood pressure is going to be higher. Have you been holding in your piss for 20 minutes? Your blood pressure is going to be higher. Did you just eat? Your blood pressure is going to be higher. How much sodium have you had per day compared to how much water have you had? If you've had too much water compared to sodium, if you've had too much water compared to sodium, your blood pressure is probably going to be lower. If you've had more sodium compared to water, it's probably going to be higher. There's so many different reasons why your blood pressure can be high or low. And again, like Austin said, it's super variable, that taking averages over time. If you have POTS syndrome, you already know you're going to have blood pressure dysregulation. It's not really a concern. One of the things that when I went to the neurologist that she said was, with POTS, some people can have higher blood pressure, some people can have lower blood pressure. And then she's like, if you drink a lot of sodium, is your blood pressure over time going to contribute to any sort of other comorbidity or whatever? She's like, I don't really know. We don't have the data for that. So it's not worth knowing. That was a really long-winded answer, but.
Well, I mean, and I thought about that. I was like, no, I'm going to answer him and I'm going to give my numbers. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, when I first started out, I had high blood pressure. I had no sodium, no hydration.
Yeah.
When I added in sodium, that was the first time my blood pressure ever hit 120.
Right.
I had never seen 120 in my whole life, ever. So, and then you add into a factor, well, I need more sodium. But this guy right here that's having issues, he can't have more sodium because then his blood pressure goes too high.
Right.
So you've got so many different factors in POTS. I can guarantee one thing going through this to learn about it. You're not going to go out there and find every single answer right away.
Yep.
It won't be easy. It will be a minefield of millions of different patients, millions of different practices, millions of different supplements and medicine, or some need medicine, some don't need medicine. There's too much out there you just got to figure out yours. What's happening with you? How are you going to adjust? When I first started out, I needed blood pressure medicine to start working out because I would get panic attacks, have all these issues. I needed a little bit of help, but I also wanted a little bit of help. It was there for an option. Now, I don't live off that. I live off of, okay, I've gotten better. Now we start to get rid of the blood pressure medicine. Can we do that? If we can, then we work that route. 140 over 90 ain't too fucking bad, man. 170, 180 sucks.
Yeah. So here, check this out too, real quick. Hold on one second. I'm plugging in.
Oh, thank you.
So check this out. Where you can find communities with your illness of different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and Reddit. Look for the ones where people share their tips and tricks. Some communities share mostly struggles, and that's nice at the start to know you are not alone, but in the long run, it can take a toll on your happiness. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's true. And that's kind of what Mick and I are here doing with our lives, is that we want to, now I'm going to become a little bit more transparent with my struggles with POTS, and I haven't really been that transparent with it because I'm a firm believer that people with POTS suffer greatly from health anxiety. And when you express a symptom, they latch onto that, and then psychosomatically, they start expressing that symptom as well. But I'm going to start being a little bit more transparent because I do think what I've noticed with these lives is that people like them mostly because they can relate to some degree with you, And so I think that both of us doing it, that's part of the reason that we're here, so that that you're not alone. But then you also get the sunshine. So you're not alone. And that we're dealing with stuff, but there's hope. Yeah, exactly. So you're not damned or doomed, right? And then, but you're right, Jazam, that it takes a toll on your happiness for sure, because then everything just seems doomsday. When you have a million different people saying that they have all these issues, and this is the symptom, this is what progressed, blah, blah, you start to think, oh my gosh, is that going to happen to me? Is that going to happen to me? And then it's paralysis by analysis. You just decide not to do anything. Mosin, I am 140 over 90. Is this causing dizziness? That's why I asked for it. I mean, it could be. You just don't know. With POTS, the thing is this, is if you have POTS, you don't know what's causing what symptoms, really. You just know that you're having the symptoms. And it's almost not even like really useful to figure out what's causing each exact symptom, right? It's almost not useful. But 140/90, dude, it's not terrible. I know the other thing with POTS that I just have to be totally transparent with, especially like, I don't know, especially dudes, dude, is like having anxiety over every little thing is just like, I know it's not controllable always, but it's just so not worth it because so many of you people, even me at the beginning, right, with POTS, you don't even know what the standard is. You don't even know what's regular for heart rate. You don't even know what's regular for blood pressure. You don't even know what's regular for white or red blood cell count. Like you don't even have the information. Like it's just a bunch of people worried about numbers that they don't know anything about. And it's almost like most of them don't even bother Googling the numbers or like seeing what the average is.
And then wait till you start to get into potassium.
Yeah.
Wait till you start learning more into potassium. Because everybody with potassium, oh my fucking God, don't have too much potassium. There's so many different factors in this stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to just take a fucking pill and get better. You can't just take a supplement instead of eating what you need to eat. It doesn't work that way. It's two different things.
You guys are so worried about like the minutia, the little things that don't really matter. Long term, it's the things that really matter long term is what symptoms are you feeling? Okay, let's address those symptoms. How do you address the symptoms? Well, if you're getting dizzy or you're getting lightheaded from going from sitting to standing, guess what you should do more of? Going from sitting to standing. Or what else should you do? If you don't drink enough water, like have you even taken any sort of steps forward to see if you're actually well hydrated? Do you actually keep track of how much water you drink per day? Like you guys are so focused on blood pressure, heart rate, potassium, sodium, getting all these tests, but have you even looked in your life yet? Have you looked at how much water do I drink in a day? How much sodium do I consume? What foods am I eating? What foods actually bother my symptoms? You know, what's my exercise tolerance? How do I build an exercise program to recondition my body from being deconditioned? Have you guys even looked at any of those things? Most times, no. Most times those people haven't looked at any of that stuff. And so really, you should be looking at it holistically, right? He goes, you both are so strong, and I love this activity and act of kindness to actually bring this on a platform and discuss it with us. Thanks, boys. Yeah, you're welcome, man. That's and Mohsen and any men that are watching this, I put in the link in description. We are gonna start like a male mentoring type of program, like a community group for men specifically, because it's we think that it's a big issue. There's a lot of dudes with POTS that feel like they can't relate to anybody, that don't want to talk about their struggles because it's a woman-dominated chronic illness. And so we decided that we wanted to put together a platform for men to join. And then you go in, you do have to pay a membership fee, but within that membership fee, the things that you're going to get are moderators like me and Mike. We're going to be there to support you if you have any questions, or Mick is going to be the one who like answers a majority of the stuff in there, right? Who answers a majority.
And that's the thing,
go ahead.
Just for the women out there, just to clarify why there's a man's POTS thing. The best way I can put this, there are very few men who will get out there on camera and talk about their dick problems.
Yeah.
So when it comes to men, no man really wants to get out there on live and be like, yeah, I got dick problems. But in a room with other men, where it's gated and fucking guarded, then there's a better chance that some guy's going to be like, oh, you've had that dick problem too, or have you ever run into this or that? And it's more of like a comfortable place where men can talk about our man shit, just like women talk about their women's stuff with other women. That's basically the gist of it, because we've noticed how much of a difference it is between men and women who go through with this condition, because we've experienced it ourselves. Yeah,
100%. So on top of that, so you guys in the male specific coaching group, you're going to get a workout program. You're going to get a male-supported community with moderators to answer your questions. Mick is going to be the main dude answering a bunch of questions in there. I'm going to be in there to write programs to also answer the questions, things of that nature. Dietary recommendations, because they do kind of vary from male to woman, because we have testosterone. We have all these different things, supplement recommendations, 2 weekly live Q&As for now to answer just your questions. It's going to be private to the men in the group. Nobody else, is invited or allowed. It's not going to be live on the YouTube channel. You're going to get a private link to go check it out. You're going to get weekly challenges every single week to compete against your fellow man. That might be step count goals, and then monthly giveaways. So whoever's at the top of the leaderboard the most within the app that we're doing, who's ever at the top, you're going to win something every single month. So
Nice.
it gives you incentive to help keep you motivated. So that's a little pitch right there. Yeah, we can carry on. Jazan says there is the hyper POTS type where people have too high a blood pressure and generally don't do as well with things to up blood volume like salt, extra water, and compression socks. Mosin, Jazan, my difference, by the way, sitting and standing heart rate is sometimes 15 or 18, not 30. So doc said I don't meet the criteria. Your doctor is right on that. You don't meet the criteria in the heart rate standard. If you do have dysautonomia symptoms, but the heart rate and BP blood pressure don't change enough, then it's chronic orthostatic intolerance. Jazan could be right about that. And
I'll
then
be right back.
Yeah. If your blood pressure does change from lying down to standing, 20 systolic or 10 diastolic, then you have orthostatic hypotension or hypertension. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Just a little bit. So I will say this. Early on in my POTS diagnosis, I had higher blood pressure. So I was like in the 130s to 140s. And that's what I was in the beginning of my POTS journey. And before that, I was like I was pretty low. I was like 120, 125. And now I have no idea what my blood pressure is. I don't keep track of any of those metrics.
Oh, wait. I got one more. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm going to travel off to the bathroom when you're done with that.
All right. I remember early on when I first got diagnosed with POTS, and then I jumped on the computer. I went to Reddit and Google, and I looked through, and I was only looking for certain things like sodium.
Mick, you keep going. I'm going to go to the bathroom, okay?
Okay.
You keep talking to him.
So I was trying to figure out how much sodium I need, and I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then you get online, you start looking around. And there is a mass amount of shit out there to try and figure out what exactly you need for yourself. So at first, it's very, very difficult to figure out what you need. Nobody around you is going to know if you don't know, if your doctor don't know. Then you're going to get online and you're going to figure out that everybody's going through something different. And then there's different types of POTS syndrome. So I'll give everybody that's here a tip on how I started to figure out what I needed to do for me. So one thing I did was, if you go to Amazon, it's called MedLab, and it's URS-10. These are urinalysis test strips. And what this does is it gives you specific gravity and different parts of your urine count. So you're going to pee in a cup, put these into the cup, and then you're going to track your urine. Your urine's going to tell you if you're hydrated or underhydrated or whatever. It's going to tell you a lot of stuff. Long story short, you go through and you chart it, and you get online and you figure out how to read the test strips, and then you figure out what specific gravity is, what your pH means, the proteins and other stuff in it. This will give you an idea of how well you're hydrating. Okay? Secondly, salt is vital. Salt dosing is dependent. When I realized that I was dumping sodium, I went and I tried every single salt that you can find. In the end, I came to Redmond sea salt because of the nutrient base in it and because of how it's sourced. Other sources I found can have issues unless you get a really pure, clean source. I really like sea salt, but there's also a concern with microplastics and other things. Same with pink Himalayan sea salt. Then you've got to get the right sourced one, and that can be a little tough sometimes. But the cleanest salt that you can get is Redmond's. And I put this on everything that I eat. Okay. Third tip is your diet. I noticed right away that carbs were not my friends. I had troubles with vegetables. Your diet is going to be dependent on you, your genetics, and what you do in your life. If you're vegan, find a vegan route. If you're from, Scandinavia like me, meats are probably going to be your better friend. Certain types of stuff affects me, like cream of rice affects me, and I didn't realize that. What else affects me? Certain types of sugars affect me. Those are quick acting things that cause issues and symptoms. But early on, I didn't have a lot of symptoms. It took 3 years of bad symptoms to continually grow before it became a POTS condition. Before that, we were treating everything else from my PTSD, my OCD, my ADHD. There was just a variable things that were there. And you want to kind of help yourself as you go along. So urinalysis test strips will be helpful. Redmond's sea salt is the best salt in my opinion. And another thing that was really, really, really important for me, fucking coconut water. That stuff helped me maintain hydration. The fiber in the coconut helped me hold on to it. And when you guys go buy your products, don't buy shit. Don't buy the cheapest thing possible. Buy what's going to work for you that fits in your budget. I don't go out and I buy shitty coconut water. I buy as good a coconut water as I can afford. And then I get that shit from Costco in a box. And then I just $20 a box. I just drink them bitches all the time. I drink like 3 or 4 a day.
Costco is the GOAT. For sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is the chat saying? Dysautonomia.
Oh, they're talking about like heart rate variables from getting up and sitting down and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jazan's got a lot of good stuff she's saying in there.
Yeah, Jazan's pretty knowledgeable and dope. She's of good help. Jazan, if only you were a man, you could be in our men's support group. And you'd have a lot to say. You'd be a moderator. Which, by the way, I actually did figure out that I can assign somebody as a moderator.
Oh, nice.
On YouTube. So actually, Jazan added as a moderator. You can review and can manage blocked. No, we're not doing blocked words. But you are going to review and remove chat messages or hide to put users in timeouts. So you're gonna put people on timeout if they're talking too much about their symptoms. I know that you're in here and you're helping some people with their stuff, but I don't want this to be that place where people are, too focused on symptoms. I want you guys to get hope from this. I don't want this to be a place where you can go like Reddit and what are the other like Reddit or some of these other forums where you can go and you can just like emotionally dump on people. I don't want that to be this place. It's
hard. Like, I get it. Like, I see, like, I can't say his name right, and I'm so sorry. Mosan? I think that's it, but I get it, because when you first get nailed with this and you get thrown into this world, you're upside down with yourself, man. Like, it is, and it's tough.
Well, dude, and I'm not saying that he's emotionally dumping or whatever, but I think right. I think that now, Mosin, I'm glad that you come here and you find support and you find what's it called, that you find motivation or whatever support via us, support and stuff. But like, also remember, part of the way that Mick and I got better is we didn't focus so much on this stuff. We focused on doing the right things. Because when you focus on doing the right things and you try to keep your mind positive, there's so much to be said about that it can literally change the trajectory of your life. And look, a lot of things when it comes specifically to guys, a lot of things that you're going to have an issue with. Check this out. You have POTS, you're only focused on the negatives. You're Googling every single thing. You're WebMDing, you're going on Reddit, you're going on these other freaking things that I don't even know about because I don't do it at all. You go on YouTube, you find all these people doing these negative things. All right, now you're like in this bathwater shit, right? Like you're in this shit bathwater,
Yeah.
and now you don't want to do anything. Suddenly you lose your job. You can't make any money or whatever. And now you're having like negative thoughts because you can't make money. You can't support for your family. You can't buy your parents gifts or whatever. You're 24 years old. It's just all downhill. Like Mick is just like pointing out, it's all downhill. So what I want you to do, Mohsin, thank you for sharing your experience. I appreciate it. Honestly, I do. I appreciate that you feel like you can come here. You can share your experience with us. You feel comfortable enough. Now what I want to do is I want you to fix it. I want you to get your shit together and fix it, dude. Because there is light at the end of the tunnel. You're not going to die from this. You're going to die someday, but you're not going to die from this. And what I can promise you is if you go and join our POTS community, the male POTS community, the support group, you will find results. You are going to have access to me and Mick. You're going to have access to people to talk to support you, all this stuff, dude. And if anything, if you don't do that, go look at my past videos and listen and come up with a plan from that or something. You know what I mean? You can ask more questions. Feel free to ask more questions for sure.
And see, here's the thing, like two things. When I got diagnosed, I got onto Reddit and I got onto other stuff, and then I cried for a week. I spent the weekend researching, and then I cried for a week.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that week, I was like, fuck this shit. There's always a way. There's got to be a way. So then I went out, and then I found Justin because I wouldn't give up. I was like, I need to find where this information is so I can get better. If you are in an area where you don't have anybody around you that knows about this shit, then congratulations. You're that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're the guy that got this shit so that you can bring it to your community, so that you can learn, so that you can build, so that you can get better, so that you can meet all the other motherfuckers that are out there suffering, so that you can help them. That's everybody that's in this. That's our part. And that's the one thing about Justin's shit that I liked, because it fucking sucked being here. It ruined such a huge part of my life. But what you build out of it, and the new wave of, instead of, oh, I got POTS, this is my life, I'm restricted to this couch. Okay, I have POTS. I just ran a flight of stairs. I just did 4 workouts this week. Yeah, I have POTS. Mm-hmm. Like, see the difference? There's happiness in one, and there's dread in the other.
Yep.
But now it's a new wave of people who are out there realizing what they can do with POTS in certain situations and then moving past that. I'm not saying everybody's situation is going to be perfect, man. Nobody's is. The kid in the hospital with cancer's situation is not perfect. I'll do what I can, but there's only so much. Mm-hmm. So work with what you've got and move from there. That's why you have this gift. This was a gift to me. It restricted my work. It affected my life. It ruined my shit, but it bettered my life. And it gave me new direction. And it gave me the opportunity to do the one thing that I love more than anything, and that's help other people.
Yeah.
I like seeing the good things in the world build up. And that's one thing about Justin that I like with his program and his direction, is he actually fucking cares. Like, it's real.
I appreciate that, dude. For sure. Yeah, dude. I think that, you know, it is tough because, like, you want to relate, and it's like, but, you know, like, the one thing that I do even still to this day is if something happens to me negatively, I give myself 20 minutes. Like, you have 20 minutes to feel like shit. You have 20 minutes to sulk in this or whatever, and then after that, you got to get over it. That's why I always set that standard for myself. I always set that boundary for myself. Like, 20 minutes you get to just be a piece of shit and be sad about something and not have any solutions. But then after that, you better come up with a solution, dude. You better come up with some sort of solution and move forward.
It's hard. It's hard at first, you guys, with POTS. I get it, because you got nothing left. Mm-hmm. You're already running on fumes. I get that. But if you put in the little things like sodium, hydration, you know, change the little things about your diet. getting up in the morning and having coffee is one of the greatest things in the world to me. I love coffee. I love getting up. I have buried myself in coffee in the last 2 weeks. There was one day I had 4 cups of coffee just in order
Holy
to cause
crap.
issues. Yeah, just in order to cause issues. I'm like, how bad can I get this to see what happens? I can tell you the first thing Monday that comes up, the first thing that's going away is instead of coffee in the morning, I get up and I have my 32 ounces of Element. And I guarantee you 100% that will be one change that will automatically make me feel better right away. I
Yeah,
know it will, and
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Chat, I want to open this up to you guys now to just ask us questions. Let's do like a live Q&A type of thing right now. And then we'll move on from there. I think.
Yeah, get into some scandalous questions. Like, push it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever you want to know.
Yeah, make us think, make us reach for answers. Do we talk about everything like mail related? Do you think that you, well, mainly what I wanted to do is I just wanted to push guys to our new like support group, to be honest with you. I wanted to push guys to there because
Yeah.
I think that we can talk more about like male problems in the support group because I don't think that dudes are going to publicly talk about like all their issues on our chat,
Right.
on the live chat.
Right.
So if you guys are struggling, hit that. This is the last time I'm going to mention it until the end, but hit the link in description, the male support group for POTS. And also if you want to support the channel, I linked the PayPal in there. Right now I'm trying to get money to send Mick some stuff, to send him a microphone and a 4K camera. So that's why we got that in there. But anyway, ask some questions, guys. Push the boundaries a little bit. Make us think. Make us work for the answers. Yeah.
One thing I had an issue with was I hurt my muscles a lot. I would pull a muscle, tear a muscle way easier, like barely doing anything. It from deteriorating down, like it was a struggle as a guy, like trying to go to work and do things, and even the week previous being at work and it's been hotter than shit. It's been a struggle to be at work and do that, but having certain things in place, having my hydration on point, enough salt intake on those days, they're really important. That's the make or break between me having a full day of work or me having a partial day of work. And now with the flare ups I've been having from the mast cell activation, I know I need Benadryl to counteract some of that. So now I've got a plan in place to adjust with Benadryl and allergy medicines or eye drops or stuff like that, and it's adjusting all that thing, and then that goes into the genetics test. Like, I'm looking forward to eventually getting that done so I can see exactly what do I need to do in certain things to really dial in everything in my life.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, I got on 2 calls today with different clients. 2 of my calls, and they both said that they're going straight to Dr. Tyler Panzer.
Nice.
They're gonna go and work with him, and like one of them has his genetic test thing on the way already, and then the other one just has to like basically set the appointment or whatever. So
Yeah.
Jazan says chronic illness offers a unique perspective on life. What have you learned that you would not have known if you never got sick? Ooh, that's a really good question.
I got humbled. Oh man, I got a big ass fucking humble pie served.
Yeah, same.
It's like I work in the trades. I've ran guys and stuff and having crew of people and guys on different sites and different places, and I never had an excuse. Like, I don't give a shit what's going on, go to work, After I went through this, I learned and understood more about people's struggles that they go through. Like, I don't judge people if they come and say, I've got this going on, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm a lot more like, I don't know that person. I don't know what they got going on. Okay. I work with it what I can, but eventually there's a line of this is working or it's not. I mean, but I got humbled pretty well. It helped my relationship with my dad. When I first got diagnosed and was going to the ER and going through all my shit, nobody in my life was there. But the one person that really stayed in to care and show up was my dad. And me and my dad didn't always have the best relationship, but he was a real big benefit in having around at that time when, nobody else was around. Because in the end, like, let's be honest, man, people care about their own issues going on before they'll care about yours. That's just natural.
Yeah,
And
100%.
you try not to get upset about that, but it fucking hurts. Shit hurts when you're struggling. So there was a lot of things I learned going through it, but I think, being humble and understanding, it took that for me to understand a different perspective of my dad's life, and yeah, that's why I said getting let known that I had POTS was getting let known. But knowing that I had POTS was more of a blessing than it was something that ruined my life. I'm really grateful, honestly.
That's cool. That's a cool perspective. That's interesting that it like helped your your relationship with your dad. I'm still working on that. My relationship
It's
with my dad.
tough, dude.
Yeah. For me, what kind of perspective did it? Frick, dude. I think that chronic illness for me. So a little bit of like my backstory, I guess. I grew up kind of rough, right? I grew up with a single mom household. I was broke as hell. There was times where like I was wondering where the groceries are going to come from. I remember going home from high school a bunch of times or a few times and like the electricity was shut off. Stuff like that. And so like I did some things for money, some illegal things for money, and once in a while, and I would like I've always been a problem solver, I guess, right? Like I've always been, because of the circumstances that I grew up in, whether it was right or wrong, the things that I did. I always figured out how to like, all right, so I need $20 cash right now. How am I going to like get a pack of cigarettes to sell to somebody or something, like shit like that. So I've always been able to like problem solve and like be that guy to fix things. And then what happened with me with POTS, I think, was that I've always known that I was a problem solver, that I had some dog in me. But when I actually had to deal with this thing so I could provide for my family, right, I had to figure out, like, really problem solve, because I've been an entrepreneur even since I had POTS. When this happened to me, it pulled out a whole other like part of this dog that's inside of me. It pulled out the like, you need to figure this shit out right now. You don't have time to sulk. Like, you don't have time to be, a crybaby. You don't have time to like to do all that stuff. So like, although I had my moments, literally where I would like cry in the car or whatever. I had all these moments. I like really got to see what I was made out of, because it was like, I finally got the diagnosis, and before that I had no idea, whatever. When I finally got the diagnosis, I got to really see, like, are you the person that you say you are? Are you the person that can beat, that walks in the face of adversity? Like, are you able to actually beat this? Things like that. Like it's just like things like that. And like, I got served the humble pie too, man. I got served the humble pie in terms of like, you are breakable. Something can break you. And so like throughout my entire life, I have walked through life feeling invincible. Like literally like nothing can happen to me. I would start fights with dudes who were like 10, 15 years older than me, way bigger than me, and like never get touched, and I literally walked through life like that. And then when POTS hit me, I was like, wow, something that I can't even control just took me down. Like I didn't threaten this thing. I didn't like start an argument with this thing. I didn't do any of this stuff, and it just randomly took me over. And so yeah, I got served like, if God wants to strike you down, he's going to strike you down, and he's going to do it the right way. So that's basically, those are the things that I learned, or the things that I went through. Yeah.
Good lessons, aren't they?
Yeah, dude. I genuinely do, like, I do too look at this as like a blessing and like a lesson. I don't look at it as like, and it's easier said than done too, guys. Like, we're on the other side of it, so we can say this like corny shit that you guys probably are like, what assholes? Like, a blessing. I'm suffering. It's not a blessing to suffer, but really like controlled suffering is a blessing. And like, if you're dealing with something that's not going to kill you, and so you get to suffer with this thing and learn more stuff about yourself than the average person is ever going to know about themselves. And what I mean by that is like, not just are you going to learn like what kind of exercise do you need to do and how to hydrate and all these things. But you're going to learn, like, are you the person who like faces an issue and then actually does something about it and is willing to like problem solve and figure it out and focus? Like, are you that person or are you not? You know, and either way is okay. You don't have to be either way. I'd prefer you to be one way, but there's a lot of things that can come out of this, you know.
If you're never suffering, you're never growing.
Yeah, 100%.
If every day is just easy as pie, you're not going anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. John, that was a really good question.
That was an awesome question.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, dude, you're right. Like, if you're not suffering, you literally can't grow without some sort of suffering, because there's no forced adaptation there, right? Like, that's what I talk about so much when it comes to the exercise or whatever. Like, you need to force yourself into certain positions or whatever. And so again, like, I like to reference the dude that I was talking about before. You guys ask us some more questions too, by the way. The guy that I was talking about before, where he's like going through divorce or whatever, one of his issues of why he's like not moving out of the house that his ex-wife lives in, or his soon-to-be ex-wife, is because of like finances. And but they don't have kids or anything, and she makes more money than him and whatever. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. This is the best position that you could ever be in. Broke, getting divorced, nothing to lose. That's the best position that you can ever be in. And the same thing with POTS, right? You're struggling. You probably aren't working. You know, you have nothing to lose. You might as well throw the kitchen sink at it.
That's why, like, when somebody gets on a live and talks about their dick problems, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
There's no shame left. There's no fucking anything left. Like, you know, like you just don't. And that's what POTS gave me. POTS gave me freedom, because it took everything shameful and just put it on display.
Yeah.
And then once I realized, I went through the process of like, people aren't going to understand this, I had nothing left to lose. I'm like, I don't expect anybody to understand this. I don't give a shit if they understand it. I'm going to lay in the middle of this fucking store and they can kiss my ass. You know, like if you try and, like, as a guy, you know, if it ever comes up that you're getting ready to have sex and your dick don't work, that's a whole nother issue in itself. Like, but there's no shame left in me. Like, I have POTS, I have these conditions, and I don't give a fuck. So if I lose my job, or I'll start an electrical company. If I don't have something, if somebody leaves me in that time of need, I don't care. I don't need them to be there. I've got myself to move through stuff with. So it's a lot of freedom after you accept just what you have, and that's what it is.
Yeah, dude. There's some, like, oh man, there's definitely like there's a lot of freedom in like letting go of any shame, right?
Yeah.
I think though, as men, you have to go through some shame, right? Like,
oh yeah, dude.
Like, you have to have that moment where your dick doesn't work with a female. Like, you have to have that moment. You have to. Because if you never go through it, like, you're just going to walk through life thinking that you're like, you're the best dude that she's ever slept with type thing, you know, that type of thing. And it's like, that's like, you know, you have to have some sort of shame. And I think that you have to have some sort of shame brought onto you by other guys too. Like, bullying, I 1000% think should still be a thing in a controlled setting, right? Like your homies like bullying you type thing. Not like some random dude that's literally telling you like, you know, you're not worth it, you're a worthless piece of whatever. But like your friends bullying you, like punching you and stuff, like, it's normal.
The fucking world ain't safe, man. Like, it ain't simple, it ain't safe. Like, if you grow up in an environment where you're safe and protected all the fucking time, and then you go out into the real world,
you're screwed.
It's different.
Yeah.
You gotta know how to move, you know?
Dude, we're seeing that with all these Gen Zers, bro. Like, these Gen Z kids that, like, dude, I have a friend, or a client rather, she, like, an in-person client, and she told me that a bunch of these Gen Zers are coming into the workforce and they're like expecting, this is human resources, by the way, they're expecting 80 to 90 grand hired on. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And on top of that, they want mental health days. On top of that, they want PTO. And then if like sometimes if they have a scheduled interview, they won't even like give you the courtesy of canceling the interview. They just don't show up. They don't talk. Like they don't say anything. I'm like, what? What planet do you guys live on? And then there's some like, other people, I don't know. They want the place to be basically a padded white walled room, Jazan had another question. She said, if you suddenly wake up at the start of getting POTS, what are you doing differently? For example, socially, do you have any regrets? That's a good question too.
What am I doing differently? Not a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to freak out. I'm going to go search. I'm going to go the same process.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a general process. In a perfect world, if I knew about POTS and I knew all the information about it that I know now, yeah, I would do things differently, but I don't have any regrets. I don't have regrets on 99.9% of stuff in my life. I don't live my life to have regrets. I could go back and say like, well, these bad relationships or this fucking abuse or trauma in the childhood or whatever you want to call it, or I don't have any regrets. I don't care what caused this. For me particular, because it seems genetic in the family. I'm the first one to know about it in the family, and I have a family of nurses in the healthcare field, so you think somebody would have caught it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any regrets. I'm a firm believer in everything is the way it should be, and we all pick paths to go. The beginning and end is the same points. So
yeah. If I were to wake up and just start, like, I kind of have the same answer as Mick. I don't know that I would do anything differently, because if I didn't know about it, I don't think I would have reacted any different than I reacted. If I had the information that I have now, like tomorrow, it just like hit me like a freaking, whatever, I would just do what I know to do. Just remember to hydrate, get blood work, get the workup done, stuff like that. That's a difficult question, because we have the information, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'd probably do the same exact thing. But for example, socially, interesting take here. Okay. I didn't tell any of my friends about this for years. No one knew anything. I remember one time I was like drunk, and we were about to climb this like big flight of stairs from like, we were out on the lake all day, and I was hammered. And like one of my biggest fears when I first got POTS was climbing upstairs. Like it was like the most uncomfortable thing. I like couldn't breathe every single time, that type of thing. And so I remember I was like hammered. We were getting off the boat. We were at the dock, and then we had to go up this flight of stairs to get up to this person's house. And that was the first time after like a few years that I had told anyone about the thing, right? Or maybe it was a year after diagnosis, something. It was pretty close actually. But that was the first time that I told any of my friends, and it was just my best friend, that I had POTS. That was the first time. So socially, I don't really think I would have done anything, because I don't think I would have done anything different, because it just seems like people don't get it and they don't understand, and it sounds made up, and it does sound made up, So like, I don't think that would do anything different there. I don't have any regrets in life either. There's some circumstances where I wish maybe there would have been better communication for things, just in normal life or something, but I don't regret anything, because I look at my life as like, I think God has an endpoint that he wants you at, right? And there's like a million different ways that you could take to get there. And depending on which way that you actually chose, which life path you chose to get there, like you learn different lessons and you become a different person. You know what I mean? So like, I really thoroughly enjoy the person that I am. I don't know if that sounds weird to say, but I thoroughly enjoy who I am. I like who I am. I like that. I love who I am. And so I wouldn't change a thing, because all the experiences that I've had up until this point have made me who I am. And yeah, I don't regret none of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a good question though. I think that here's one thing that I run into a lot with people with POTS, cause I get on consult calls. I talk to my clients, whatever. And so like this question just kind of reminds me of the fact that so many people with POTS live in the past. You know, they live
Yeah.
in like what they used to be able to do or what they hope that they'll be able to do in the future, but they can't get a grip on what's happening now, right? Like what's happening now. They're always like, I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to do that. And it's like none of that is like useful. Like even as somebody who's healthy, right? It's not useful to be like, I used to have a six pack. Okay, dude, who gives a shit? You used to have it. You know, what do you have now? You don't have you don't have that now? Is that something that you want now? Okay, you want it now. Great. Let's start doing the things. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
used to have a 580 deadlift. I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and is it like useful? Like the same reason why I say it's not useful trying to like tracking your heart rate all the time and your blood pressure or whatever, because it's just gonna get stuck in your head. And then what do you do from there? You know, so like
It's just a hindrance.
yeah, and like you can cut like what you can do is like you can set goals. Like I want like 580 deadlift. You can write that down as a goal again or whatever, and then work towards it. But like you got to live more in the moment rather than in the past or the future. You know,
Yeah.
because living in the moment, you're going to actually make the choices that you need to make in order to have a better future. If you're constantly living in the future, it's almost like it's real already. Like you don't even have to do anything about it because I'm already living in the future. You know what I mean? At least for me, that happens. So,
Right.
are there
Yeah.
more struggles that are more man related that you haven't mentioned yet?
We kind of touched on all the main ones, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ones that I wanted to get out, you know?
You guys, if you're in the chat, we don't have that many people watching today. Losers. Just kidding. We don't have that many people watching, but if you're a man in the chat, why don't you go ahead and lay some stuff down that maybe you've seen or maybe that you've experienced? I think personally, just the emotional side of it is the thing that I'm mostly concerned about. In the real world in general, at large, I'm mostly concerned with men's mental health.
Yeah.
Because it's like such a everybody says that they're sympathetic and empathetic toward men's mental health, right? But the world is literally being designed to cater to women, you know, more than it is for men at all. You know, we're told there's toxic masculinity, being aggressive is toxic masculinity. There's all these things that are against men and how they could actually deal with their mental health. And so like I just, you know, I'm more concerned with that. So like having an outlet for men to talk about their emotions and stuff.
I think for me it comes down to one thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I was going through my pot stuff and trying to take the medical leave and stuff, I get X amount of money for being on medical leave, but it doesn't clear up all the issues. Mm-hmm. Now, if I call my best friend and, you know, and I did before, I was like, hey man, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Like that conversation for healthy men is to pretty much go like this. Hey man, I don't have money and stuff, and I've got all this real life stress coming up that is horrible shit, right? And then the other man goes, yeah, that sucks, man. That's about the end of the men's conversation, because at the end of the day, both of us know the answer to that one. You got to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, do something.
So for men, like we get left with our problems to just deal with them. And I think a lot of times we're fine with that, depending on what type of man you are. But it's not easy at the end of the day. So that for us is just something, and it can be hard to go through, because if I go to, say I have a girlfriend and I go to my girlfriend and I let her know about my issues and my problems and all this other stuff, and what I'm really looking for is more support, I can get that through a healthy relationship. But 9 times out of 10, that's going to make me look weak. So I go to my other male friends and I look for a male supporting back of that, of like what I need to do. And then we support each other off like, yeah, you just got to man up and handle that shit. And a lot of times that's our answers.
Yeah. And to like keep it G, right? It's like women will say that they want to be there to support you. And I 100% do believe that they are there to support the man and they want to like be, you know, our rock. But at the same time, like women also expect us to figure life out and to like lead the household. And there's a lot of people that will say, no, women handle that too, blah, blah, whatever, dude. I'm not talking about like
Yeah,
Like,
it depends on your relationship and how it's set up, vice
but
can be a
even then though, at
yeah.
large, majority of times, like, I'm not saying that women are bad for this, right? Because they're not. This is just the nature of women. But like, women want you to figure it out, and like, they're gonna be there to help support you.
Yeah.
But if you're the dude who's just gonna sit there and complain all the time, they're not gonna be there for you. Like, that's not what the woman's for. And period, in life, you should never expect somebody to just sit there and let you dump. And especially if it's a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, like, show that you're taking action. Like, be there. You can definitely like have your time or whatever, but like, you don't want her to like, you don't want to be the burden, right? Like, you don't want to be a burden on somebody. And I feel like that's, you know, with men, a big thing is like, we want the support. We don't want sympathy. We want empathy, right? And so like,
Yeah.
a woman,
Yeah.
like, women cannot empathize with the same things that we go through as men, right? And like, for a lot of women, they're cool with just dumping on each other and like, talking to each other about emotions. And I'm not saying dumping like in a negative way for you guys. It's just like, it
Right,
is what it
right.
is. Like, you guys are more creatures of that. Like, you talk about your feelings and you feel better. Men, we got to do something about our feelings to feel better. That's why I'm like not really a huge fan of therapy with men. Like, I think that it can be a useful tool for sure. But if the therapist doesn't give you any actions or actionable things to do, it's like do I feel better from just talking about my feelings? No, I don't. Like, for me personally,
Right.
at least, and a lot of the masculine men that I talk to don't feel that way either.
I mean,
Austin says, go
yeah.
ahead. You can do it.
Well, he mentioned it, like carrying the weight of a family and feeling like a burden to other people. That right there is like the baseline of what having POTS as a guy is like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're no longer able to do the shit you used to do to be able to just handle things. And then on top of it, you've got all these responsibilities and added pressures, but then you can no longer just man through it and deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? And that's why a lot of things that me and Justin do are working your way back to that, like being able to handle that stuff and do that stuff.
Yeah, and Austin like said something that I want to point out too is that when you say that, right? Wait, let me read the second comment. As a man, you want to be present and go, go, go to be able to help your friends the way they help you. Being part of a group community, we get left to sit with a lot. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is like, so many people would be like, that's toxic. It's toxic that you feel like you need to carry the weight of your family and feel like a burden or whatever. You should talk about your feelings or whatever, like as if that's toxic or whatever. But no, dude, it's literally just the way that we are wired, right?
It comes with having a dick, man.
Yeah, just like women, like you guys are wired a certain way. We're wired a certain way.
Right.
I'll tell you this. I put together this desk the other day, right? I put together this electric desk. I felt like the freaking man, dude. I was like, I put this desk together. It's like 4 pieces. I was like, I put this shit together. I literally said to my girlfriend, I'm like, yeah, you see that thing over there? She's like,
yeah.
She's like, yeah. I was like, I did it. And then she was like, I'm so proud of you. Like,
that's what we want, man.
Yeah, but she didn't give a shit.
Creatures.
She doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? But the whole point is like that we're wired to want to problem solve. We're wired to want to build. We're wired to be like around community of other guys that are like us. That type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like
we don't have, like, when we're born, we don't have fucking value.
Yeah.
X amount of women, X amount of men. Okay, and then you got men that have different skill sets and abilities and levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women can give birth. That's a value you're born with.
Yeah.
Men, we're born in the fucking gutter.
Yeah.
Like, most of us don't have the opportunities. I've been to schools that have more opportunity than I ever had in my whole life. Like, we have to create our own value. So when we do something like put together a fucking table, yeah, that's our time. That's like, do you see that shit right there?
Yeah. Well,
didn't fall apart.
Dude, I mean, like, as a man, you don't really have a lot to offer the world until you're like 30 plus.
Right.
Because you don't really get your shit together and you don't really understand like how the world works. And like as a woman, like as a man, you don't really have, like, some guys get blessed and they're able to become millionaires or get a 6-figure paying job or whatever by the time they're 25. And that's like the exception to the rule, right? But women are born with a vagina. The thing that every single man on earth wants a piece of, you know? So like you're inherently given that. And a majority of women, whether they're your taste, my taste, or not anybody's taste, the majority of women, somebody's going to find you beautiful, you know? And that's not the case for most men. Most men are not born with devilishly good looks like Mick and I are, you know? So like, so not everybody is blessed with that. So not most men don't just have inherent value, you know, in terms of what they can offer the world. Everyone is valuable on a soul level. Everyone is valuable on a spiritual level as a human. All that's true. But women, you guys offer something so much different to the world, and that's peace, and that's like kindness, and like all these things that men, you know, are destructive, and we do a lot of things, you know what I mean? So like, yeah. Jazan said, how have you been coping with that, Austin? Austin goes, I don't know if I've really coped with it. Honestly, working with Justin and a mental health therapist to not dump on my wife is what I'm working to improve. That's awesome, dude. Jazan goes, well, first off, thanks for that compliment by saying that I'm helping you not do that, because that is a huge compliment. I really, really am happy about that. And then Jazan goes, do you talk about it with your wife at all? Austin goes, I also live 2.5 hours away from my friends, family, so Potts left me more on an island, so felt like I lost a lot socially. Austin goes, yes, I do speak with my wife about it. She's aware and she understands to a degree. My goal, though, is still the same. I want to work to provide the life she said yes to prior to me being diagnosed. I love that. And here, look, guys, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys for a second. There's this book called The Way of the Superior Man. Every guy should read that book. And even women, you should read that book to understand like male dynamics and how we think about things and how we feel about things. But I want to make something very clear. I've done this before. Like your wife wants to hear some of your struggles. And I think that women are going to, you know, like Jazan, you'd probably say like, I want my man to be vulnerable, and I want my man to like, you know, tell me about his problems and all this stuff. But like, truly, I don't think that that's like exactly true, right? Like I don't believe that women act, because look, and from experience, I've done this a couple times in a couple different relationships where things are going wrong. And you come home and you have a lot of complaints, right? Like you have a lot of complaints and stuff, and you're constantly telling your girlfriend or your wife about it. Dude, they don't feel safe in that relationship. A woman just wants to feel safe. Like I promise you, women want to feel safe. The same way guys want to feel safe too, just in a different way, right? Yeah. So like women want to feel safe. They want to feel financially secure. They want to feel emotionally secure. They want to feel like you can protect the household. You can protect the family. You can feed the family. And so like discussing all of your issues with women who can't empathize with your problem is not always a good idea. That's why like there are male support groups, and that's where you should be headed to. Like you should find a community of men that can relate to you in a lot of your problems and express your problems to them, because they can actually empathize with your problems, and you're going to get so much more out of that than talking to your wife, right? Or talking to your girlfriend, because they're going to be able to give you advice, like even dating advice, right? Like some of my friends, when they have dating advice, I literally tell them, just dump that girl, dude. She's not worth this shit. You know what I mean? But like, if you told a girl that, she's gonna be like, well, you know, how does she feel about this? What does she think about, you know what I mean? Like all these different things that are like, that probably don't matter long run, right? So like my best advice to dudes is like, if you do have struggles or whatever, and you need somebody to talk to, it's okay to talk to your girlfriend or your wife about that, but come with solutions too. Here's what I'm going to do about these issues, right? So that the woman feels safe. And also, don't talk about it all the time. You know, don't talk about it as much as you think you could. Jazan goes, go ahead.
You got to understand yourself. Like, you got to be real with yourself. Like, I had to be real with myself, and I'm a person that loves to suffer. So I'll continually choose to suffer without even knowing I'm choosing to suffer.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy suffering. Now, why? I really don't give a shit. I just don't want to suffer. Right. So I start aiming for how not to suffer.
Yep.
And one quote I've lived by for a while since my last mentor gave it to me was, easy choice, hard life, hard choice, easy life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make your choices, normally 9 times out of 10, the things that are hard to do are the things you need to do, and the things that are easy to do are the things that you don't need to do. So but it comes down to you at the end of the day. But if you have other males to be around, whether that's on the internet, in real life, over the phone, unless it's your stepdad or your dad or whoever the fuck it is, like if you have another male that you can, what do you call that? Talk to in a healthy way or productive way instead of just dumping, then you have solutions, and then you use the solutions. Then your goal from there is, okay, I've actually got to do the solutions now. You know, you're acting as a big part of it.
Yeah, dude. Well, here's the other thing too, is like, if you have men to talk to about this type of stuff, they're going to be honest with you, you know, and like a good man will be honest with you. And like, they might just be like, you're being a pussy. And like, that's really hard to hear. And it doesn't sound empathetic, but actually that's extremely empathetic for a man to be like, hey, you're being a pussy, because he's looking you in the face. He's telling you the truth. He's giving you an honest opinion about like, this isn't worth your time. Like, why are you even worrying about this? You know, like, this is such an easy solution. Get over it. Because in life, there are some things, just get over it, you know?
That's why it's hard for men and women to give each other advice.
Yeah.
If a woman comes to me with an issue and I give her a solution, it doesn't always mean that's what she's looking for.
Right.
She might be looking for somebody to just listen and dump on, but I'm a guy. I'm like, here's your solution. What's the problem? You haven't done the solution, then what the fuck? Men get frustrated.
That's the whole like mansplaining thing. Or my husband just doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand. Like, every single time that I come to him with a problem, he always tries to lecture me. He is always lecturing. It's not lecturing you.
There's your fucking solution. Yeah, that's all we're trying to do.
But a lot of times women just want to like talk. They just want to like, so like, I'll actually say to my girlfriend sometimes, like, are you looking for me to solve this problem, or do you just want me to listen to you? You know, because like, I am the person who like immediately when she says something, like, it could be something that like is just so stupid in my opinion. Like, why are you like, sometimes she'll like come home and she'll be like, I haven't booked any appointments or whatever. And she like, you know, because she owns a business on top of like working at the hospital or whatever. I haven't booked any appointments and whatever. She's like, I just feel like things aren't going well. And I always go, you always say this. Like, you always say this. Every week you say this. And then you have like a massively good week or good day. Like, it's every other week. You know what I mean? I'm like, because people with Botox and stuff, they're basically on schedules. I'm like, but then as soon as you have like a good day, everything's good. I'm like, so just put it into perspective. Like, you're always like, I'm having like, my business just isn't going well. It's blah, 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 blah. And then on the day that you have like 10 appointments, you're like, oh my God, it's going great. And they're always like within 5 days of each other that you're saying these different things. So it's like, you know, it just doesn't make sense, at least not to me. Right. And so I always ask her, you just looking for me to listen, or do you want me to like actually give you some solid foundational advice?
It's hard to listen sometimes too, because you're like, okay, was that it? All right, we're done.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah. Well, and sometimes I'll laugh at her too. You know what I mean? Like, and she'll be like, why are you laughing? I'm like, dude, it's just so funny. It's just funny. Like, I don't know, you know, and then I make jokes out of it. So I'm like, it's not like I'm laughing because she's like upset or whatever it is. It's just like, I'm just laughing because this is funny. Like, you do this all the time and it's cute to me. You know what I mean? It's just cute.
And that's why, like, you know, like, men that go after high value women, fuck, you better have your shit together. You better be able to hear your shit, own your shit, deal with your shit.
Yeah.
Like, you think every guy wants a high value woman, just like every woman wants a high value man. But when it comes down to it and they meet those high value people, 9 times out of 10, they weren't aware that they are not ready for that. It is not just a simple, easy life.
No.
You've got to fucking be able to take some shit and move forward with it without getting all weird or emotional about it.
When dudes say stuff like that, like, I want a woman who has something going for herself. I want a woman with a high education. I want a woman with a high paying job. I'm like, you are bullshitting. You don't want none of that because you don't have any of that. You know, so like, you trust me, the dynamic is way off. If you're not like, I've seen it live, you know what I mean? Like, I have seen dudes who like chase after like those types of women or whatever, and they don't have anything together themselves, and it just goes to rock bottom super quick.
Yeah.
Super quick. And also with chicks too, it's like they want like a dude who makes six figures. They want him to be like good looking. They want all this stuff, right? And it's like literally 1% of the population that they want. They want the 1% of men, but like they're not willing to deal with all the other shit that comes with it. I want a man that works hard. Dude, I've dated girls in the past. Like literally the point of contention with like the relationships was always, you work too much. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I don't know what to tell you. It's what I enjoy doing. So like, you know, I had a girl tell me once that I was too emotionally unavailable, and I didn't know what that meant. And so like I literally didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant. And it was like within 3 weeks of seeing each other. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, you're so busy and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, dude, how do you think I afford my life? Like, and I love doing what I do. So it's no surprise that, you know, to me, you think that 14-hour days are crazy, but like, I like it. It's not crazy to me. And like, if this is the type of guy that you're looking for, that's like successful and that like, you know, can take you, like we can go do things together or whatever. This is what you're going to have to put up with. This is what you're going to have to deal with, period. You know? Yeah. And so, yeah, dude, I don't know that we can get into dating and all that, but Jazan says, I don't like complaining. I want to hear the specific feelings you have and why within a few sentences. And then we sit with the emotion and then I help or we move on. I do need to know what's going on. I'm going to play devil's advocate there a little bit. Okay. Because I think, man, I want to hear the specific feelings you have and why. I don't think you do. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't think that he wants your advice. No offense. Like truly, right? Like truly, I don't think that men want that because although you might have something like good to say and it might be like nice or whatever, I don't think that it's going to like resonate the same way, right? Like the same way that like a man's advice wouldn't resonate as well with a woman's. What do you think, Mick?
Man, it depends on the type of guy.
Yeah. Maybe a more feminine dude.
Well, I mean, just like in general, we're all the same to some core characteristics. Like we all want love. Some of us want love, but we're too scared of it. So we keep it at bay. Like there's just so many different things into it. And so you want to know, so you guys sit down and you talk about it and he gets his feelings out and you talk. So let's say it comes down to you two are married, you sit down and have a talk, and he says, look, you know, work is really stressful. I get shit on by my boss all the fucking time. The other guys in the office fuck with me. You know, I've got POTS and, you know, I turn pale and they make fun of that. And, you know, it's not really a thing you can go to HR about. It's the only good job in the area, so we've got to keep it. Like, what as a woman, like, what are you going to say that's going to change it? There's not going to be much. Maybe you're going to say, like, you know, honey, you're worth it, and you're such a big man to me and stuff. But at the end of the day, it comes down to how he feels about himself. That's just like a woman who, like, guys will tell women, like, you're not fat. Like, you're thicker, but you're not fat, and I find it hot, so that's why I'm all over it. But at the end of the day, the woman is not going to feel any better about herself if she thinks that way about herself. Yeah. So it comes down to her. And then plus at the end, if you got kids in a house and you're a wife and he's told you all this shit, it doesn't fucking matter. You got to pay the bills, so he's got to get his ass to work and figure out what to do with it. And maybe it's a situation to where you don't know what to do. So it's different factors and different things, but like at the end of the day, like we need to know that we're providing a value. Like we need to know that we are providing something to wherever we're at, whether it's work, in a relationship with our kid or whoever. If we don't feel like we're providing a value, we're not meeting our own standards. And if we're not meeting our standards, we won't meet any standards that are told that we have, like no matter who it comes from. So the best thing you can do is be like, hey, I'm here for you. I believe in you. The one core thing that a man needs in a woman is for that woman to believe in him no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens. When he fucks up, when he does good, when he doesn't do good. Because at the end of the day, the man should be that for the woman. No matter what she goes through there, he should always believe that she can get there. She has potential. She can do it. She's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a good man and woman relationship is. But beyond that, you just got to fucking take care of shit sometimes. Like, you know,
Yeah, 100%.
if I have a girlfriend and she goes to work and she fucking hates her job just because she hates her job and it's stressful, sorry, we ain't got the fucking money for you to quit right now. But when we do, for sure. But
yeah,
you're going to have to suck it up.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Austin said 9 out of 10, it goes in one ear out the other. I hear you, but I don't take it in. You could say you love me, but still feel like I need to earn it. And then Jazan goes, Austin, that sounds like a hard belief to have. It's not, Jazan. I mean,
no, it's common.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a bad thing either. Like I think that when women hear that stuff, they they cringe. You know, they're like, I can't believe that you would feel like you have to earn it, because you guys don't have to. Because you don't have to earn it. A guy just falls in love with you. And when a guy falls in love with a woman, it's over, dude. Like, they'll do anything. They'll do anything for that woman, and they're deeply in love with that person. But for a guy, like, it's not hard to think that way. It's not even like detrimental. It doesn't even feel bad to feel like you have to earn love from a woman. I mean, it's like, on one point you like sometimes maybe wish there was unconditional love, right? But like, okay, so how do I phrase
unconditional love's a loose term for me.
Yeah, I believe that there is such a thing as unconditional love, right? But it's also
like a kid or a dog.
Yeah, dog for sure. That's what I like to say. And I even like to believe that like my girlfriend has unconditional love for me. However, because I've proven what I'm capable of. Not because like she just found me and we talked and we started dating and I didn't show her anything. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that if all of my clients left me today, my girlfriend would still be around. She has unconditional love for me because she knows that I'm a hard worker and I'm going to figure it out. You know, but that's, again, proving or earning that, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah. So
that's our part, man. Like, we build our own value. We do our own things. Like, if I'm with somebody and I'm an electrician and we've got this life, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? This just doesn't fit me anymore. I'm just going to quit work and stop working.
Yeah.
That's going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
She is not going to eventually love me anymore because I didn't meet those conditions and standards that she was looking for in a person. So it's not unconditional. It comes with conditions that you can provide and protect and do these certain things that I need as a person, as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the conditions are. But outside of that, no, it doesn't. That's why when some people get hit with a diagnosis that's really debilitating, sometimes the other person will bail.
Yep.
Because they can't handle that shit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like, a very similar thing, and that's why getting diagnosed as a man with POTS, especially if you're in a relationship or whatever, is so hard. You know, because that woman may love you, the person might love you that you're with, but at the end of the day, like, that's how we are innately, is that we feel like we need to deserve it, we need to earn it and stuff, and that can change the whole dynamic of the relationship, and then you will become a burden on the person that you're with. Absolutely. And it's not like bad, it's not the woman's fault, it's not the man's fault, or well, it is the man's fault. I blame everything on men, to be honest with you. But you know, it just is what it is. That's why it's so hurtful towards men when they get diagnosed with something that's like crippling.
Yeah.
Because they want the support, but they also feel like they need to earn the support and deserve it. So like,
the women just want it fixed.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're like, I don't care what's going on, I just want it fixed.
Yeah.
And if you have something like POTS that you're struggling with, you can't just always just fix it.
No.
And so it affects things. You lose your value. You start to lose hope. But you can't give up. As a man, you can't give up. Right. You have to keep moving forward. One of the greatest things POTS ever gave for me, and I'm the type of person, I will take people that are real close to me, and they fuck up one time, and I just take them and I fucking chuck them out of my life.
Yeah.
It's a good and bad. Like, it's a good and bad. But when I when I hit my pots, fuck yeah. Anybody around me who couldn't handle it or had issues with it, gone.
Mm-hmm.
I want people there that won't move whenever shit hits the fan. So if you're one of those people, you're gone. If you're the type of person that talks shit about me behind my back because you're around somebody else, you're fucking gone.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you should be. Like, I even think that with like relationships. Like, I don't think that, you know, personal issues in relationships should be discussed with friends, you know?
Yeah.
To be honest. I go that deep with it.
It can fuck things up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, because then people get in your ears or whatever, and then they're like, you deserve this or you deserve it. And it's like, okay, but you don't even know the other person's point of view. That's male or woman. You know what I mean?
That was my cousin who's going through her bullshit with her boyfriend or whatever. I texted him one day and I was like, dude, just fucking end this already. That's not my place.
Yeah.
What did it do? What did it do? It ruined the relationship between me and her. But now, why did I do that as a man? Like, why would you risk a step like that to affect somebody close to you? That person had already previously my cousin already spent time talking shit about me to him. So it was already like, I was just like, fine, we'll just blow it out of the water.
Right.
You know, now it's said what's said, but get that fucking drama shit away from me.
Yeah.
Like, my POTS condition, my central nervous system can't handle that. So get it the fuck out.
Symptoms get worse the more stressed you
Yeah.
are. That's part of why we're talking about, like, in this like men's group thing or whatever. We're talking about men, you know, today is like, if there's something that's not adding value to your life, get it out. Dude, some of this stuff hurts too, right? Like, for men, like, I'm going to be kind of vulgar here, right? But a lot of guys stay in relationships way too long because, like, they're getting pussy on the regular, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So they're getting laid on the regular, and then they're like, this is the only girl that is ever going to, like, let me see. That's basically the mentality, you know what I mean? And it's like, I've had a few dudes where they're having a lot of issues POTS wise, but they're also having a lot of relationship issues. You know, and it's like, that's adding so much to your problem that you don't even realize. Huh?
It wrecks you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up everything.
Dude, your girl or even guys, like, mix it around, right? Like, and we do this in different ways. Like, we provide this feeling in different ways, but you should be each other's peace when you get home.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think a lot of guys, like, they try their hardest to be these nice guys and to provide, you know, whatever for the relationship or whatever. But then they, like, just get stuck with these girls that they don't even know how to deal with, you know? Like, you get stuck with a, like, behavior that you don't deal with. And we could go down the rabbit hole of, you know, why that is and why I believe that is. I don't really think it's useful here, but, like, you know, if again, we said this in the beginning of the stream, if you're in a relationship and it's more work than it is positive, like, get the freak out and watch how magically your symptoms just kind of flutter away.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard, dude. You can love somebody a lot and stay in it, but you got to love yourself enough to fucking not put yourself through certain things, man. Like, and that goes out to everybody, the men and women who are dealing with that shit. Like, it don't matter where it's coming from. And if you're not in the relationship, you can't understand the relationship. So don't even get on one side or the other. Because when people are together, they're at some point they're the same person. Mm-hmm. So you know, you don't talk shit about another person's mate to somebody else, like to their better half or whatever, because even if they fucking hate each other, it's at the end of the day they're together. So it's like two sisters, you know. Mm-hmm. You talk one shit about somebody's sister, nope, that's going straight to her sister. Yeah. And that sister's gonna be there at the end of the day, no matter how horrible that sister is.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, you can't say nothing about my girl to me. You can't say nothing. No. I do not tolerate that. I don't stand for that. You know, like, somebody says something wrong to me about my girl, oh, trust me, you're on fire.
If I'm with somebody and you're talking shit about my girl and you're my friend, you're gone.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that kind of friend around.
No, and I'm gonna light you up too. You know, like, I don't
mind honesty or, like, you know, facts or whatever things being said, but you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, do you guys got any more questions for this live? We've done like 2 hours already, dude.
Seem to average that.
Yeah. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You guys got any more questions? What do you think, Mick? You want to do a little bit longer or what?
We can do a little bit longer.
Cool.
And then we'll jump off here.
Yeah.
I don't know what there's left to really go over to kind of explain. I mean, it would be nice if, if there was an avenue for the men and women in the group. That way women had their side and things to help each other with. Because the one thing about the POTS I've noticed is the relationship aspect, whether both people have POTS or one person does and the other person doesn't. It's tough to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I have the ability to make a woman's thing, but like I would need a woman to be managing that. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it. And I know for sure my girlfriend's not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm not good with wigs.
Yeah.
I don't think I could fake it.
Yeah, right? Jazan could be in charge of it, I'm sure.
Right?
She could go and scout out a bunch of women and stuff. Get them in there. How do I keep missing these streams from Knitter Gritter? I don't know, dude. You always be missing the streams.
Life gets busy. It's tough to keep up. They're recorded though, so that's helpful.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put up one of my streams from this past week because I was spending so much time with that hater that I just dude, it's I think
it's natural for people to come in and be defensive. Like, and the only thing I can say to people is, like, come in and be defensive. No big deal. But try and be honest with yourself. Like, when you have questions or concerns or issues, like, there's part of this process you got to trust. And because we all came in the same way. We all came in looking at Justin going, wait, how the fuck do I have these symptoms and he has POTS, but he's working out? What the fuck? Like, I spent the first 2 weeks being jealous because I seen him working out. I was literally fucking jealous. I had to tell him, I'm like, I got to be honest, I can't watch this live because I'm just jealous that you guys are working out. And it blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's interesting because I think just as humans, we have such a hard time being introspective. And like being able to be like, is this like I talk about it all the time with like the health anxiety thing, right? Like it's really hard to be like objective about things and be like, hey, do I not like this guy's content because I'm jealous of something that he's doing? Or hey, am I asking these questions because there's actual validity to it, or am I being anxious? You know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. I just think it's rough. Knitter Gritter goes, ha, that's soy boy. He actually behaved very well on live yesterday. The guy.
What's soy boy?
The one hater dude that I was telling you about.
Oh.
He actually behaved pretty well yesterday on our live, and he commented on a video saying that we did a really good job. So
nice.
Yeah, that was so. I give the dude props for turning it around. I'm not gonna hold it against him. Let's see. What questions do you guys have? You have any questions before we hop off? We'll give it like another 5-10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I've been standing all morning. I'm gonna bring this desk down now.
Dude, I was wondering, man. I'm like, he's standing in that one spot a long time.
Yeah, dude. I've been here in this office doing this since 7:30 in the morning, and it's now 2:38. I think I sat down a little bit earlier, but yeah, we're gonna sit for now. I'm trying to get a walking pad. Well, not trying to get. My cousin bought one, and she does not use it, so I'm hoping that she'll trade me the treadmill that I have for her walking pad.
Nice.
Yeah. Otherwise, I gotta buy one, but it's not a big deal.
I mean, like, it's as far as men's stuff, like, another thing when you're a man and you get into this is like finding fucking good socks or stretchy pants. Dude,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was tough for me. I was like, fuck. I was like, these are not men's pantyhose. That's not a thing. These are men's tights, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's that. I remember you bringing that up like early on, like that you wanted to do some sort of like merch thing and then make some like
Yeah.
some compression socks that are actually for dudes. I think it's a good idea.
I've already reached out on it. I'm already looking into like certain designs and see how much it'll make and figuring out, you know, how the product's going to move in it and stuff. So I've worked on it, but like things like this I do is because I'm going to wear this shit. So
Yeah.
since I'm going to make it and wear it anyway, I'm going to sell it. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Why not?
Like, cause as a guy, when you come into this, go look around and find some fucking cool ass socks and, you know, stuff like that for your dysautonomia. Let's see how well that works out for you.
Right. Yeah. You
If you're
can't.
lucky, you're gonna get the fancy, glossy, fucking pantyhose, stretchy pants you gotta wear, and then you're gonna be on a fucking job site with a bunch of other motherfuckers.
Yeah.
They're like, "What the fuck is that shit?" And you gotta be like, "I don't give a fuck," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like nothing. Freaking Knitter Gritter says no question but statement. Cut out all alcohol since my diagnosis and honestly feel superhuman since getting that. And my electrolytes down.
Makes a big fucking difference, doesn't it? It's
Huge
massive.
difference, dude. Huge difference. I mean, dude, I drank through the majority of time that I was diagnosed. I continued drinking alcohol, and I can't believe, dude, I cannot even believe that I drank alcohol, like, chronic illness aside, I cannot believe that I drank alcohol in the quantities that I drank and for the duration of time that I drank. Period.
Dude, I used to have a bottle of 151 in the shower.
Whoa.
Like, dude, I bought shorts. I bought these camo shorts because literally they could fit a bottle of Jack in them. That's why I got them. Like,
no way.
I cannot look back and fathom how the fuck I consumed that much alcohol in my life and had pots.
That's crazy. How long ago did you give up alcohol?
Oh, it was a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah. So funny story for you guys. What happened is alcohol has always been a thing for me. Like early on, I struggled with alcohol. I would drink alcohol like a fish. I got alcoholism on both sides of my family. You know, most people on my mom's side have a DUI, or you know, my cousin got in a wreck from alcohol and was in a wheelchair. So like when you're from the Midwest, there's things to do. You fucking go drive around on the back roads and you drink. So alcohol wasn't new. After enough time of trial and error of waking up and instantly regretting everything I couldn't remember, I eventually quit. And by quitting was controlled. It was 1 to 2 times a year, these certain bars, this many drinks, and then you go home. Mm-hmm. So there was one night where I went out and it was on Christmas Eve. And I was like, I don't have anybody around. Everything's fucked up. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to sit at the bar on Christmas Eve. I'm going to have 2 beers, 2 shots, and then I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up the next day. Tomorrow's a new day. On the way to the bar, well, why don't you go to this bar instead? It's closer. No, I always go to this one. It was snowy out and stuff. It was icy. I go to the bar, have my 2 beers, 2 shots, go to leave. I start going down the road. I got my first DUI ever. 2 beers, 2 shots. When the cop pulled me out of the car, I was confused on how the fuck I was all of a sudden this drunk. It's like it all just hit me at once.
What'd you take shots of?
It was whiskey, but I think it wasn't Jack. It was something else.
So just normal proof alcohol, though.
Yeah, just two. I had 2. What do you call those? We're in the Northwest, so all the ales. I had 2 ales, which have a higher alcohol content, and then I had 2 shots. That was it. And I'm 210 pounds or so. So 2 beers and 2 shots shouldn't be a thing. That was over a 4-hour span of time, by the way.
Wow.
And when he pulled me out of the truck, I didn't realize how drunk I was until that moment whenever all the shit was hitting the fan. And I told him, I was like, I got PTSD, I'm having a panic attack. And so he was really cool about it, got me out of the truck, and sitting on the side of the road, he said, how many beers have you had? And I said, that's what I don't understand is I'm this drunk, but I've only had 2 beers and 2 shots in the last 4 hours. And then when the toxicology came back and stuff, I think it was like I don't remember, a point one something maybe. I don't remember. I'll have to look up. But either way, like that was the first time in my life that it had ever happened. And a DUI to me is the worst thing in the world that you can ever get because, you know, that side of the family has them and I'm not like them. And, you know, that's something in my life that's just never going to happen. But it just shows the effect of alcohol in the body with POTS because very shortly after that, this was during the 3 years that I was having these symptoms, but barely shortly after that, we realized that I had POTS. And then about a year, about 6 months into POTS, I looked back and I was like, that's why my body couldn't regulate or handle the alcohol. And I had no idea. And I wasn't out on a main road just swerving in and out or doing anything stupid. It wasn't anything like that at all.
This is actually like kind of making a lot of sense for me too. Like, I never thought about this like this, but like when I was younger, before I got POTS, I never blacked out ever, like 0% ever blacked out. And I was always like confused, like how do people black out? Like I drink half of a 175 of Sky vodka and I like have beers and shit with my friends and like nothing happens. And then after I got POTS, but I always attributed it to like drinking beer because I became like a big beer guy, right? Like I was into all the ales and the IPAs and all that stuff. But I would like have like blackouts or like brownouts, you know what I mean? Where you're in and out of consciousness kind of. And then I was like, this is just so weird. And like I'd have like more days than I'd like to admit of waking up and being like, I have anxiety. I don't know what I did last night. Who did I hurt? Who did I say something bad to? You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So it makes a lot of sense actually. Huh?
What did I fuck up? I would wake up in a panic knowing that something bad happened. Yeah. You don't even know what it was. You just know it was bad.
Yeah. And then sometimes though you wake up and people are just like, you didn't do anything bad. Like, like nothing happened. But like, you know, intrinsically, like you're like, no, something bad happened, you know? Yeah. I don't have that similar of a story with like quitting alcohol, but I realized like, so I like separated from the mother of my child. And one of the reasons why I like cooled down on, it was one of the reasons why I cooled down on alcohol for a little bit, but I broke up with her and then I was drinking like quite a bit, right? After that, you know, just cause you're drinking because of that. Like I realized that I was drinking to like, you know, protect myself emotionally from like feeling certain things, I guess, like running away from stuff. But then the kicker to everything was like, I finally realized it later on in life, like 2 years ago, I was like, dude, I'm drinking to deal with issues on the weekend rather than like actually having a good time. I have kids now. Like I have a stepdaughter, basically. I have my son and like I run businesses. Like I can't be the best man or the best me if I'm waking up hungover, even if it's on like a Sunday. You know what I mean? Because like work doesn't stop for me. So that's when I was like, okay, this is too much. Austin Rowe goes, what this diagnosis will show you is just how disciplined you are or can be. I'm 2 years, no alcohol, and that includes a wedding that I paid for with an open bar. That's tough. Good job.
That's tough, dude.
Yeah, that's
tough shit.
Especially when all, like, dude, I will say, I don't have any urges to drink whatsoever, ever anymore. But sometimes the one thing that does get me a little bit, doesn't give me the urge to drink, but like when I see my friends drinking, I'm like, you know, dang, like we used to do that. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, I like think to myself, I don't know if this is kind of douchey of me, but I'm like, when are you guys going to grow up?
Dude, it's whatever you got to do to move through it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no douchey to it. It takes that in you to be able to move through those moments because I've got an addictive personality, so it don't matter if it's working out, smoking weed, drinking beer,
Yeah.
working. I'll get addicted to whatever comes up.
Mm-hmm.
My new healthy addiction is treating my POTS condition. That's why it's easier for me to move through moments and not have that fucking amazing desserts that my friend's wife just made.
And
That
element
looks like
cans.
it came out of a storefront, and you know it's delicious as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had a carrot cake cupcake last night because two of our friends came over, and I guess his dad is like a chef and a baker, and so it was homemade carrot cake cupcake. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Knitter Gritter goes, kind of makes sense with how alcohol affects blood flow. Yeah, it does make sense. 9% IPAs definitely were my thing. Athletic Brew makes some great NA ales beer. Yeah.
My thing was smoking weed, man. I love smoking weed. Like, I love smoking weed.
Yeah.
And I always smoke weed to calm down.
I gave up smoking weed in like high school. I had like a really bad high one time, and I flushed my whole aider down the toilet because I'm like, God, please let me get out of this, and I flushed the thing down the toilet, put it in, and then I smoked weed a little bit more in college again. After that, I don't know, dude. Weed just doesn't agree with me.
It's different type of people. I was always the person that had to slow down, so I was always trying to do anything to slow down.
Yeah, for sure.
And weed for me was, alcohol. I'd lived so long with like alcohol's bad, and I'd always smoked weed and thought I never had a fucking issue with smoking weed.
Yeah.
And then you go see how many people out there that get POTS. They're like, okay, I got POTS. I found out that's what's wrong. So my main question is, how do I keep smoking weed that I have POTS? Mm-hmm. Not like how much sodium, how can I keep doing the thing that's technically been affecting me, but I just am not ready to deal with it yet.
Right.
And dude, you're talking to somebody that smoked decades.
Yeah.
I put weed in the bowl, and then I put hash on there, a little more weed, and then I put hash and then dab. And then I add anything to that bowl to get as fucking high as possible because I need everything to shut off and shut down and quiet.
You'd add a dab to it?
Oh, fuck yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, get some really high quality weed that's like 30%, but really good strain, top shelf. And then get your top shelf hash that's like 70%. And then get your dab that's like 90% because it tastes like lemons when you smoke it because it's so fucking crystally.
Oh, hell no. You'd be on a different planet. There's no shot.
That's what I mean. And then you talk about the times where you talk about people with POTS generally will struggle with anxiety and mental disorders. And fuck yeah, dude. PTSD, OCD, ADHD, like, yeah, it's part of it. We're all here. We all got this bullshit. Everybody struggles.
Yeah.
True. Like, what are you doing to cope? Right. Like, how are you coping? Today, I'm going to cope by making my food, prepping for the week, looking over my workout, getting ready for Monday. Because Monday is when we clean up the diet from 2 weeks of completely dumping in everything that'll affect symptoms. So now we get to start daily videos of, today I did this, I experienced these symptoms, this is what I'm doing about it, stuff like that. It's to show people that you have power over this,
Yeah. I just tried to film something this morning. It's funny that you say the Monday thing, because I just tried to film a video this morning for my other channel and my other Instagram, talking about, like, I don't understand why we like assign the 9-to-5er. People are going to be pissed at me. I don't understand why we assign days to tasks. You know what I mean? Like, Monday through Friday is work time. Saturday and Sunday, like, is chill out time. I think that so many people, I don't know, maybe some of you guys can relate to this. Maybe this will give you some value. I think so many people could avoid burnout and bullshit if they just didn't assign, days to certain tasks or to like, I don't know, responsibilities. It's like, just work as much as you can, like work or work out, whatever, as much as you can. And then when you need to take breaks, take breaks. You know what I mean? Or like take breaks like on a Wednesday instead. But like, I get it. It's like when you're not self-employed, you can't do that.
Right. And it's also a new concept. Like the best thing you can do is if you get up for work at 5 a.m. every day for work, and then you go on your weekends and you get up at 9.
Yeah.
That's not helping you. Your circadian rhythm can't stay in a constant flow state. Now, if you go every day of the week, getting up at the same time, it's going to be a lot easier to manage that. But
Yeah.
we're all ingrained in this work week.
Yeah.
TGIF.
Yeah.
Like I don't I try not to get excited about Fridays anymore because it's just another day. Like it doesn't mean it's the end of my week. It means that I don't have to go to my week job anymore, but I still have work to do on the side on the weekends,
Yeah, I don't get excited for the weekend at all, dude. I'm like, it's cool. Like maybe if we have a plan or something, I get excited for that plan to like go do
Yeah.
whatever. Or like if I have my kid, finally for the weekend. If we have the kids, then I'm like, oh, sweet. Like we have the kids. Like, yeah, I don't know. Especially because, I mean, you know how my Sundays go. They're booked from like
Yeah.
early on until whatever. So it's like, it doesn't make a difference to me. And yeah, I don't know. Knitter Gritter says weed literally makes me want to go to the hospital.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so when I got
Same.
so early on, I smoked weed and then found out I had POTS, right? So I did what everybody does is I got POTS. Weed's affected me in a negative way. So I got online to figure out how do you smoke weed and still have POTS.
Yeah.
And then I realized that you don't, right?
Yeah.
So then I got better. Over the 3 months, I got better and I quit smoking weed. And it fucking helped out tremendously. Like the last time I had smoked weed before that, I was on the floor in the fetal position trying to get my heart rate and my swallowing and my breathing all to regulate together properly. Outside of that, my hands and my feet were white and they were ice cold. It felt like there was no blood circulation. So essentially, the nervous system was completely freaked out from smoking weed. And that was off of one hit of just regular normal weed. I went down from there because I kept trying to smoke but had issues.
Dang.
And that's when I had my what do you call those flashbacks, panic attacks, and it was horrible. It was so bad that that's how I quit smoking weed. I was like, oh, okay, like this is horrible. I don't ever want to try that again. And then I went through my 3 months, got better, recovered, had everything in place. And then when I started drinking coffee again, I was like, hypothetically, what can we throw in here to completely ruin everything to get horrible symptoms again? And I did it. I did it. I have problems taking a shower now with the hot water. I can't breathe as well.
Mm-hmm.
I get dizzy every time I stand up from a seated position or from a couch. I have reactions after I eat foods that I'm not supposed to have. And then we went for the big test. What's going to happen if I smoke weed?
Oh, no.
And I figured it out. I figured out how to smoke weed if you have POTS, which is a secret that I'm debating on letting out and not letting out because it's a tricky secret. And in the end of it, when I started to smoke again, the first 2 days, it fucked up my shortness of breath. My shortness of breath before that, go up a flight of stairs, work out, had some shortness of breath, but not really too bad. Like, didn't worry about it, didn't live by it every day. Within the first day of smoking weed, shortness of breath came back immediately. That was the first symptom to hit. So there's tricks to it, but it fucks up your central nervous system. It can't regulate everything when you smoke weed, just like when you have alcohol. So you can get it done, but at the end of the day, no, it's not going to help you. So
Knitter Gritter just said, he goes, a lot of people don't know the newer, stronger weed is actually inducing real heart issues with people now.
Yep.
I didn't know
That's
that.
true. Dude, it's way more intense than it used to be. Like,
well, I know that for sure. I remember I smoked. Oh, dude, I actually smoked weed the last time when I was like 24, 25. So like 5, 6 years ago. No, 6, 7 years ago. And it was in Colorado. And we went to, this is kind of a funny story because we went to a dispensary and we left. We bought an eighth. We left. We went to a restaurant And basically we went to this restaurant and my cousin was like talking openly about weed. He lived in Denver at the time. He still does, actually. He's openly talking about it. I'm like, dude, shut up, bro. Why are you talking about, whatever? He's like, Justin, it's legal here. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah. So then the last time that I smoked was there, and dude, I was freaking high as a kite, bro. I couldn't even it was so strong. I had to take but like 2 hits and I was rocked.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
CC29585. Do you ever deal with constant adrenaline flare-ups? Yeah.
Dude,
I feel like I still do, dude, if I'm not doing the right things,
it's the constant adrenaline.
It can be a good thing though.
I worked at this electrical shop, and I would come in the mornings. I would have Folgers breakfast blend coffee.
Ugh.
And then I would come into work, and it'd be like winter, and I'd be out there washing vans, running around like crazy at like 5 o'clock in the morning, right? So eventually, after some time, I'm on a job site. We're pulling these big ass feeder wires through the ceiling, and they're hard to pull. And there I am, fucking shirtless, all jacked up, ripping in feeder wires, swinging on them like a fucking crazy man, right?
Tarzan.
So the owner goes out, comes by the job site, looks at me, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And then goes straight out to my van, rifles through my whole fucking van, moves shit everywhere, just trashes it.
He thought you were on some stuff.
He thought I was on meth.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Now, to me, I was like, this is just who I am, man. Like, I had coffee this morning, but what I didn't realize for years was that my kidneys dumped norepinephrine, which is straight adrenaline. So for years, I had the ultimate pre-workout stack to the pre-workout stack.
Yeah.
Adrenaline mixed with Jack 3D, crealkaline, beta-alanine, and then fucking killed workouts. So yeah, adrenaline running through your fucking veins constantly all the time, day or night. Yeah, it's constant fight or flight state. It's fucking horrible.
What's interesting about that is like I will get that pretty bad after a workout sometimes. Like post-workout, I'll get like adrenaline is just flowing, and like I'm like, oh my god, dude, I just worked out. What's happening? And it's like, but I almost can see it as a good thing a lot of times, because I'm like, oh, I have all this energy, I can go get some stuff done. And for the most part, I don't really notice much crashing, but I think that it's like anything. If you know how to direct it in a positive light or positive direction, it can be a good thing,
It takes, I used to be confused on why I would get so jacked up after a workout. I'd be like mean, but it's the adrenaline. Yeah. Like that's just, it comes with it. So being able to counter it's helpful.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I want to just do one last thing. I want to prompt you guys to do one thing. In the live chat right now, just let us know what topics you guys want us to cover in the next couple lives. Because I think next week we're going to shoot for the same thing, right?
Cool.
Yeah, we'll shoot for doing a live in the morning on Saturday, and then we'll shoot for like mid-afternoon on, or like 1:30 or so. I know I have my kids this upcoming weekend, so we'll do like 1:30, something like that for live. So give us some topic ideas real quick before we get off this live. I got to go to the grocery store, and I got to somehow try to cut the grass, but it looks like it's about to rain, unfortunately. Actually, kind of fortunately. I do not want to cut the grass.
Right.
Do not want to cut the grass.
I was going to say, thank God it's raining. I don't have to cut grass.
Yeah, dude, honestly. Thanks for speaking to that, CC29585.
Yeah, man, that's the hard part of my shit going on is like the adrenaline. It's intense as fuck, and you're going to be too intense for everybody around. So it's like that's where medicines for me kind of helped out. And your doctors, I had a medication specialist that was working with me, and I said, I've got POTS. You've got me on Prozac. Is there any other medicines that could help with POTS? He says, I don't know. And I said, well, can you look into it? And he said, well, POTS is for your doctor to deal with, not me. That's where the medication specialist got fired. I went this route, and then it turns out that duloxetine will actually work like Prozac, where it helps with the serotonin.
Yeah.
But duloxetine also allows your receptors to pull out the norepinephrine from your bloodstream, which is the shit that causes adrenaline, which helped my fucking fight or flight state be lower, which was a pretty critical role in my particular treatment of dealing with my POTS syndrome.
I can't believe you would say something like that to you.
Everybody gets to choose how they want to treat people, you know.
That's
like
crazy.
So if that's his way of doing it, then by all means have at it. Other than that, like my naturopath has been really great. She was the one that figured out my POTS condition. She's one that's been helpful on most of it. And I got a different medication specialist who's been around a long time, and she knows about my POTS syndrome. And so those two together have been a real big help.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's wild though.
I know, right?
I could never address somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I told my therapist, I said, I'm pretty sure I have POTS syndrome. I hit all these markers. And then I was talking to him, and he's like, well, the doctor just diagnosed you with it. You're playing into the future on this. And I said, well, I'm dealing with the symptoms I've got right now. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, it's been confirmed, but you don't know the end result of it. So quit reacting to it, basically. So I just kind of like fired him too, and then left that. Like you just got to find the people that are going to meet you on your level of figuring out your treatment options and working through it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, guys, give us a couple topics. A couple. There's people in this live right now. I need you guys to answer.
We could pull them afterwards, but if they leave them in the comments and stuff too.
Is there a poll option?
No, I mean if they just leave it in the comments on like what to look for next time and stuff, or what to mention, talk about.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So then, you guys in the comment section below, let us know what you want us to talk about in the next live. We're gonna try to do this twice a week right now. For any of you guys that are men struggling with POTS and you feel like you don't have a support group or anywhere to go, we just opened up a men's POTS support group down below. Click that link in description. You're gonna get a lot from this, so I would definitely suggest, Mick, I already put you in there, in the group, so you're gonna get a lot of benefit from this, you guys. So I want you to hop in there if you want a group to support you, and then if you haven't already, hit me up for one-on-one coaching. Mick, we gotta figure out how people can get in contact with you besides the app somehow. But otherwise, if you want to get in contact with Mick, you got to get in the app, because that's basically the only social media that he does, aside from doing this with me every so often. So
we could throw the email up there next time or something, or maybe a platform. I'll figure it out this week.
Okay. You want me to throw your email in the description?
Well, let me figure out the platform first. Maybe Do you think it'd be better to go through the platform or just start with the email?
I think you should get an Instagram or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
People talk to you through there. Yeah, it'd be good. Anything that you want to leave them with?
No, I mean, all of it was just said. The videos are long, but I mean, if you just take the time to even listen to it like an audiobook, you're going to get something from it.
Yeah.
I think Justin might pull some shorts from some of the content. I'm not sure, but like, you spend your time doing your homework, but you can't give up. The first sign that you give up is the first sign that you're choosing to die. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And if there's any clippers in here that are watching, if there's anybody that can clip our stuff for us, clip it. Clip the freaking video. Clip the video. Just because you said the shorts thing. But yeah. So with that being said, we'll talk to you guys in the next one. When's that? Saturday next week?
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you guys in the next one next Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. And we will talk to you guys next week. Peace out. Goodbye. We got a 4th like on that right before we ended.